We are on.
We're
This is it.
on.
This is it. People from around the world are tuning in to find out what two DJs from the Midwest think is cool from the 70s.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, if you're talking cultural world, the center, the epicenter of 70s music, it's got to be Upper Midwest.
Yes. Of course.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's show. This is the long-awaited show for a lot of you. The 70s music is life, and we are going to talk about it tonight. Brian, my list, I counted just a little bit ago, and I mentioned to Ian at 400. I have 120 songs that I picked out, which I highlighted 30. Those are the kind of the must play or the most commonly played. But I love the little surprise songs in there, so I've got some of those. So it'll be fun to share some of those tonight and bounce back and forth.
I have a lot of songs. I don't know how many I have, but I have many, and
we're gonna have fun
all over the place, really. And that's just the nature of the 70s, I think.
So if a person could give a general, for someone who's really not familiar, a younger person, to give them an idea of what the 70s was music like. Let's because you've done a nice job talking about how the 50s did and the way the 60s changed. So kind of give us your little 2-minute overview of the 70s.
All right, 2-minute overview goes something like this. Now, see, there are some decades where you really don't know where they culturally begin and end, but I think we know where the 60s ended. You had Woodstock in 1969, right? In the summer of 69, it was utopian, it was beautiful, everybody romanticized it. And then a few months later in December, at the beginning of December of that same year, you had Altamont, which is this like Woodstock 2 on the West Coast. And it was a nightmare. Nothing went right. They had the Hells Angels come in to be security. They had really bad acid. People were tripping really bad. There were a lot of injuries. There was a death. It was a nightmare. That was the end of the 60s right there. The utopian thing was over. It didn't work. It was a failure. As far as, the hippies were concerned, the movement just lost momentum.
Sure.
And then, I don't know, in April, the Beatles broke up. So that was definitely an end to things. Shortly after that, you lost Janis Joplin, you lost Jimi Hendrix, you lost Jim Morrison in 71. So there's where your 60s end. That whole idealism, everything that built up, through the Flower Child movement, all that stuff ended. So then you started something new. There's a new TV show on HBO called Vinyl.
Yes.
And I've only seen 2 episodes, but what's interesting is I watched it behind the scenes and they were talking about the creation of it. And they said why they picked 1973 as their launch year was the year where a lot of music experts say that punk began, disco began, and hip hop began in 1973, within a few months of each other and within 3 miles of each other.
Interesting.
So that's crazy. And then we can talk about the end of the 70s. That was the whole Kaminsky Park Disco Demolition Night thing in July of 1979. They blew up a giant stack of disco records in center field. There was a riot and the whole disco sucks movement kicked off. So if you hear a song from 1979, a pop song, and you hear a pop song from 1980, there's contrast because anything that kind of sounded remotely like disco was going to get radio play. If you had a song that kind of was R&B, even you had to convince, the A&R people had to convince the radio stations, hey, no, this isn't disco, it's rock or it's funk or it's R&B, it's not disco because that was just a bad word. And up until recently, I think in the U.S., it's still a bad word.
Yes.
But it hasn't been the case in other places in the world. Disco was never a bad word. They still use it. So that's my quick wrap on it. And a lot of stuff happened. A lot of other stuff happened too, but we'll discuss, in the program. I'll just kind of take it in there. So.
Good. Thank you. I enjoyed listening to you tell and talk and reminisce and share because you are such a student of it, and I mentioned that before. So
I'm a geek, man.
You are, and I enjoy.
One thing I do well. It's this. I don't say I do anything else very well, but this I do well. This I can hang.
And I enjoy your geekiness in the music world.
Thank you.
Okay, how do we want to start? Should we go down the kind of the must-haves, must-plays, and then go to some of the secondary and such, or how do we?
Well, let's bounce around a little bit. Let's go ahead and start on that must-play 70s list,
okay.
And then we'll get 5 in and then we'll go somewhere else because
Yeah.
there's a lot to cover. And I think it would be fun to just kind of, throw some other stuff in there kind of randomly. Is this light bothering you back here? I can unplug it with my little disco ball. I don't know.
I don't know if you guys, if that little ball is bothering you guys, let us know and we can deal with that. If it's not, we'll just keep going.
I was kind of trying to get the theme going for the 70s.
Yeah, I like the dots going around the floor. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to start with slow songs.
Now, how many do you have for your must plays, John?
I've got about 30. That should be on that list because I think that's what you were aiming for somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, I ended up with, I think, it's a weird number. I ended up with like 26, but then I've got others in a secondary list.
There, yep, exactly. So that's what. So yeah, I'm going to start with one. There was one I wanted to hit here just a little bit that didn't really make the charts, and yet there we go. Starting off with a song from 1972, which would be At That Border from the Hollies, "A Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress."
Good song.
This is one that can be kind of a surprise me type song, but the Hollies were fairly popular, but the song did not chart that high.
No, it didn't.
Surprisingly.
But you got to remember, and this is the kind of stuff we'll be interjecting in the show here and there. This was during the whole era of album rock, which was very different than anything that we have today. I'll give you a quick history lesson on this.
Yeah.
In 1964, the FCC passed this rule because what was happening was everybody had AM stations, right?
Yes.
And everyone had AM radios, but FM was starting to become a thing. And what AM stations were doing, a lot of them were trying to do anyway, they were buying, an FM station in addition to their AM station and just simulcasting the programming. They weren't changing the programming at all. Well, the FCC said, you can't do that. You have to have fresh programming for your FM station. You can't just simulcast.
Okay.
So they fought it for a long time. But by 67, the rule was there. And I was like, well, what do we do? We don't have program directors for this stuff. It's like, all right, well, I'll tell you what. Just let the DJs play whatever the hell they want. Just send them in there and let them just play stuff.
Right.
And they did. And that was the beginning of album rock. DJs would go in and say, okay, yeah, this song was a hit, but there's another song on the album I want to turn you on to. This was huge on FM. And this was all over the country. They did this. By the early 70s, this format was so popular, but I think the program directors got a little more involved. And they said, okay, what we're going to do is, you can't just play anything you want, but what we will do is we'll give you a list of albums and you can play anything you want off of those albums.
Ah.
So instead of saying, all right, you got to play Led Zeppelin Black Dog off of Led Zeppelin 4, you could play anything you wanted off of Led Zeppelin 4.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the programming, and you can do it however you wanted. You didn't have like the rigid playlist like you do today with iHeartRadio and all that, where it's just not really, we won't get into that. But anyway, that is why songs like Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress is popular, yet it didn't chart, was because of things like album radio.
Interesting. Very interesting. What do you got to kick us off?
Disco Inferno by the Tramps. Now, this one's interesting because it came out in 76, but there was this was one of the first tunes on my radar anyway, that I can say that a DJ made it popular. And I don't know who the DJ was. And it probably wasn't really a DJ, it was really a producer. The 1976 version of Disco Inferno, if you YouTube the music video for Disco Inferno, it sounds like it's being played slow. It's not. It's being played at normal speed. But what someone did right around the time Saturday Night Fever came out was probably a DJ in the clubs. They just bumped that pitch up and they played it really fast. When they recorded it for the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack in 1977, they went ahead and did the fast version. And that was the version everybody heard on the radio. So technically it's a 1976 song, but I think it was really made famous by the sped up version, whoever did it in 1977.
Interesting. Continuing on with kind of that feel a little bit. This is one that when I really didn't get much use out of this song, or didn't use it very much, from 1972, Stevie Wonder's Superstition. Oh, nice. This particular track was really not on my radar until about 10 years ago.
Really?
And we started working that in, and it just really has become a really one of the major songs that I will use to set up a set of dance music.
Right. No, it's a good tune. And I do play it once in a while. It's a really good tune. I've got some other Stevie stuff on my list that I'll turn you on to in a little bit, but
Nice.
that's a good one. Next on my list is Bachman Turner Overdrive, Taking Care of Business.
Good tune.
It's just a rock tune, and forgive me, I neglected to do the year on a few of these.
73.
73. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
But it's a dance. It's one of those very few rock tunes, classic rock songs that you can actually dance to. There aren't too many of those. This is one of them, and that's why it gets played.
Yeah.
So, Taking Care of Business, Bachman Turner Overdrive, 1973.
Pretty much every event I think I did from the mid 80s to about the mid 90s, this song was played.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
just that.
It still gets played. And there's a short version and a long version. Either one is fine, depending on who your crowd is. There's one with a longer B section in it, but I think it's like an album version and a single version. They did a lot of that stuff back then. It's slightly different, but both effective.
Nice. I'm going to stick with the rock genre. I'm going to go to 1977 from Aerosmith with Walk This Way.
Wow, you play that at gigs? That's cool.
I have played this. Now again, I was a bar DJ for a lot of years.
Go. Right.
So
right.
that really became something that I would put into my sets, and then the people who would watch me and then hire me to do other events were used to it.
Right.
But it was just one of those songs at different times. It's not used but it was just one of those songs that I think a person needs to be aware of and have in your repertoire for sure.
I would say, like, because a lot of people may be familiar with Aerosmith of the 90s and the 2000s or whatever, or even the 80s, which Run DMC kind of brought them out of obscurity. Steven Tyler had some personal problems and went away for a while, but when they did the Walk This Way with Run DMC, they came back. And then that's like a whole other era of Aerosmith. And I got other artists I'll talk about later in the list like this. But there was a whole, like, backstory before Dude Looks Like a Lady that people may not be aware of.
Oh, for sure.
Toys in the Attic, all that stuff. There's an Aerosmith's Greatest Hits. I think it only has like 8 or 10 songs on it, but it's like the really cool 70s stuff. They do a really cool remake of Come Together by the Beatles.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's right.
I believe that was on that Sgt. Pepper's soundtrack I was talking about last. And what else is on? Back in the Saddle, I love that song. There are tons of good tunes on here, so it's worth a check out. The Aerosmith's Greatest Hits for some of that old Aerosmith stuff.
Cool. What's next?
Black Betty by Ram Jam. It's another one of those songs that just everybody knows. And you're like, well, why do they know this song? And then I'll watch a movie and it'll be there. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yep.
That's why the kids know it. But yeah, it's a good one to have. That one, I would say, probably popped back on my radar probably 15 years ago. It went away for a while, and for some reason it came back.
Interesting. Yeah. And where would that have come from?
Well, I think I know. I'm not. There was a movie, a guy named Steve Odenkirk. I don't know if you know who that is. He is the guy who, let's see, what did he do? He was a writer, a comedy writer kind of guy, but he also did this like really weird kind of parody fusion movie called Kung Pao. And it was like a kung fu movie, and he superimposed his head on some 70s kung fu character. It was an old Shaw Brothers obscure movie. And it had all these songs in it. Black Betty was one of the songs. That was one of the fight songs in the movie. It's kind of like, have you seen those stupid videos, like when you used to go to Blockbuster? This is how old we are. You'd see like Thumbtanic and all those thumb movies.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he was the thumb guy. And he did this movie Kung Pao. If you've never seen it, my nephews used to come for Thanksgiving and they get really bored. I put Kung Pao on and they just pee their pants laughing. It was so funny. It's a funny movie. It's completely ridiculous, but it's very funny. But yeah, Black Betty is one of the fight songs in there, along with Baby Got Back. So
very cool.
I think that may have been something that kind of kickstarted it a little bit around that time.
Let's see. Next, I want to go to a early 70s, about 74, from the Bay City Rollers with Saturday Night.
That tune, I know it by heart. And the Bay City Rollers had like tons and tons of hits in Europe. I mean, I think that was one of the only Bay City Rollers songs that really is on my radar here in the States. Yeah. But I've never played it at a gig. I've never played Rollers. No, I've never done it. Never. And I'm not suggesting it wouldn't work. I've just never done it.
Yeah. No, and again, with the right crowd that wants kind of that likes, this is kind of a segue song. I'd put it as going from that kind of that 50s, 60s kind of upbeat things as moving on through into more of a disco feel.
Is it sing along? Did they do the S8?
A little bit, but I would almost kind of call it more of a bubblegum bubblegum disco feel.
I think you're probably right on that.
And it's a transition song, and it works really well.
Right on.
Cool. What you got?
Next up, we got Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones. I'm going to play a Stones song, a dance Stones song. This is my go-to. Brown Sugar. I really like this tune. It's rock. I can play it in a set when I'm playing the AC/DC stuff and all that. It works really well. Mm-hmm. So I got that one on my list. It's a must-have.
Yeah. Late 70s. I don't remember if it was 77 or 78.
No, that was earlier.
It really was earlier.
And I didn't list it, but that was earlier.
Yeah, I saw it as I was going through lists today. So okay. I'm gonna stick with the kind of the rock genre. I'm gonna go a little later to 1979 with Cheap Trick with "I Want You to Want Me."
Good song.
Now, when we were talking last week about some songs we just kind of correlate with a different decade, I would correlate this one more with an 80s tune.
Well, it was right there at the
tail end of the 70s, but it fit in really with some of the 80s kind of the Def Leppard type rock almost better than it did with some of the 70s things.
Now that's one of those rare tunes where you want to have the live version from the Cheap Trick at Budokan album.
Yes.
Because there's a studio version that doesn't nearly have the energy. The live version, I want you to want me. And that's the one you want to play. So you want the live version of that one.
Good stuff. Okay, what's next?
Paradise by the Dashboard Light, Meatloaf. Now, let me just say this is my least favorite song in the world. It's like 8 minutes long. It's over 8 minutes long. And back in the old days, this was one of the longest songs I had as a mobile DJ when I was still spinning 45s or whatever for a multi-op. And the only thing this song was good for was going and taking a crap, because it gave me time to do that. If I was playing by myself, this was my take a crap song. It's very theatrical. We talked a bit about how Meatloaf does those theatrical tracks. This is the one, and I don't think it was ever a hit. It was one of those album radio songs that just got play because it was released as a single, but I don't think it was particularly a hit. But yeah, it's a huge tune. People still like it, and I don't understand how anyone can dance to it. I don't get it. I'm just not that white, I guess. I'm not. Hey man, I'm. You wouldn't believe the magazines that are coming to my house. I'm not white anymore. But no, this is a tune that I tell you, have it in your library with the right crowd. They're going to love it. They're going to ask for it, and nothing is going to substitute for it. They need this song, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, Meatloaf, from the Bad Outta Hell album, 1977. And there was a beautiful song on that album called 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. Yep. That no one ever wants to hear, but they want to hear this one. And for some reason.
And actually, the 2 Out of 3, that's another one that I had picked out, not as one of the 30, but one of the secondary ones, because it's a great, it is a great slow song.
It's a great song. Even You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth is a really nice song. There are a lot of good songs on the album. It's not that one.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what everyone wants to hear.
That's the one.
My least favorite song of all time. There you go, right there.
I think there's a good way to say it there. Let's see. There was a.
My dog.
I wanted to go. Where did well, I can't find. Oh, there we go. ELO. 1979. Don't Bring Me Down. ELO, nice. I think, had a variety of good tunes in there, but Don't Bring Me Down, which of course is a remake. We've talked a little bit about that, but just a wide appeal song, a good recording, and can work as a transition song again from your 50s, 60s into your 80s, and it'll kind of catch you as you roll through.
It is a very good transition song. And ELO is very interesting. Jeff Lynne is amazing. What this guy did, and I want to talk about ELO because I don't know that I got much ELO on my list, but I love ELO. Jeff Lynne, what he wanted to do, his objective was when he started Electric Light Orchestra in the early 70s, was he wanted to pick up where the Beatles left off. That was his objective. I mean, creativity-wise, that's what he wanted to do. Man, his stuff is amazing. Yeah, he did rock, he did pop, and then like when disco hit, he kind of did that with like Shine a Little Love and Last Train to London off the Discovery album. Mm-hmm. He did, like what you're talking about, Don't Bring Me Down. Then he, like in the 80s, he was doing stuff like the Xanadu soundtrack.
Yeah.
And then, just to let you know how cool this guy is, he's the guy who's responsible for all that really cool Tom Petty stuff in the 80s. And the George Harrison Cloud 9 album, I Got My Mind Set on You. He's responsible for Roy Orbison stuff, the Traveling Wilbury stuff. He is like the super producer of what they call the roots rock genre in the 80s and 90s. Just a fascinating guy. So yeah, ELO is hot. And I apologize. I geek out on this stuff.
No, that's quite all right.
Just rattle on, but Jeff Lynne is amazing.
We warned them that this was not going to be a quick show tonight.
No, it's not.
This is not going to go quick. So
no.
What do you have up next?
Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, 1973. Not a tune that I particularly like myself. I don't sit around and listen to this myself, but people really do like it. I think it popped up on the TV show Ally McBeal in the late 90s.
Yep.
It had a resurgence. So, and it was an Austin Powers Gold member. It's in movies and TVs, and culturally people are hearing it again and they like it. So yeah, it's 1973, Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On.
Cool. I'm going to go country this time.
Nice.
1975, John Denver brought us Thank God I'm a Country Boy.
Okay, that's on my list too. That's a good one. That's a great song. It's way up on my list.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say on that one, you also want to play that live version.
Yes. Yep.
You don't want to do the studio version of that song. I don't know exactly when the live version came out. I remember being so excited in the early 90s because I was shopping for used CDs and I happened to run across the Pauly Shore movie Son-in-Law soundtrack, which had the live version of Thank God I'm a Country Boy on it, which is the only song on there I want to hear. I bought it just for that. So I carried that around with me for a long time before I went digital.
How many times we bought one a weird disc?
So many times.
One song.
I bought double CDs for a song.
Yep. Yeah,
it's an import. It's $40 or it's $50, but I'm going to buy it because I think this is the tune. Turns out it's not, but then you find other things you like on it, so it's okay sometimes.
That was my Todd Rundgren experience right there.
With Bang on the Drum?
Yeah, exactly. I had to buy the double set to get it. And
yep.
Okay, let's see. What are we up to?
It was on a single, by the way. I can't remember which one, the Rock Archives or something like that, but it was available on a single.
I wasn't fortunate enough to buy it.
Should have called me. I would have told you. Is it my turn?
Yes,
sorry. Science Seal, delivered by Stevie Wonder, early, I think it's 71 or 72 on that one. Now, that song wasn't on my radar to play as a mobile DJ until I started working with a band, and I was like playing the band breaks. They'd open with that song, and it was always a hit. And last week I talked about how, like, bands can get away with stuff we can't get away with. They can play things that we can't play. It's weird like that. But I took a chance on this one. So you know what? The band had a lot of energy when they played it, but I think maybe I might be able to get away with it. And I do it. I played a lot. It's a good one. So have it in your library.
Oh, yeah. That definitely. For those who have been down in Las Vegas, of course, they have used that on the Fremont Experience for the last maybe they don't use it anymore, but they did for a number of years. Yeah, that was up there. So a whole generation of people who attend or have been down to Vegas were experiencing some of those songs down there too.
Yeah, it's got a real iconic beginning when he screams, and it's cool stuff.
Definitely has that. I'm going to slow it down for this one. I want it going back to 1971 from Chicago, Color My World.
Nice.
Now this is kind of, I would put this in a category of kind of the surprise song that people just aren't ready for, aren't thinking of, but you play that and they're like, oh my gosh, I remember this.
For that crowd, you're right.
It's golden for that. That's a golden song for that age group.
I recently added that to my digital library, but I always had it like on 45 back in the day.
Right.
And I assumed I had it, because I grabbed a bunch of stuff. And I was looking a while back. I'm like, damn, I don't have it.
Yeah. I know what that is like. It's like, I used to play this song right here. Kind of, it's not here.
I have it. No, I don't have this. How can I not have this? And you have to go back and grab it.
Yeah, find it.
And what I will say real quick, because I'll save it. I'll save my Chicago rant for later.
Yeah, that's my one and only Chicago. I didn't.
I got numerous to talk about later.
There's numerous songs, but that was my one. Chicago.
Color My World was a great song. Yeah, beautiful song.
Good stuff. Okay, what do you got next?
Piano Man by Billy Joel, 1973. It's one of those tunes. I mean, yeah, you can slow dance to it, but most of the time people just kind of hold hands and sway back and forth, and it's a sing along. A lot of the college kids do it. Even my generation digs it. It's a really good one to have in your library. Not a dance tune. Did that one chart? I think so.
I don't think it charted very high though.
Maybe it didn't. But again, album rock.
I think that's really, really where that came out.
Yeah, album rock influenced a lot of this stuff. And, you think about, the way, and I don't mean to get preachy or anything, but if you think about how radio structured these days, we suffer.
Oh yeah.
Artistically. We don't hear these things. Not everybody is into it like I am. I don't even take the time to listen to entire albums unless it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested. Back in the day, you had people who would say things like, "Hey, man, check this out."
Yeah.
It was just like, it was cool. And then, hey, I like that one. Play it again. And it went into rotation. And a lot of that stuff became what we call classic rock today.
Mm-hmm.
Like this. And it's just a shame. I mean, that was why this decade was so cool for so many reasons.
Okay, I'm going to go to an artist that is still with us today, making an impression in the industry. Elton John, 1973, with Crocodile Rock.
Nice. Very nice.
Another song that kind of is a segue song from the 60s, 50s, 60s to the bubblegum pop 80 type feel.
Right.
High energy, great crowd recognition.
He kind of did that's kind of like his campy stuff.
Yeah.
And I like his campy stuff. He does his heavy stuff too, but that's kind of more of his campy stuff. Where he dresses like a Donald Duck and does it or something. Because he used to do that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anybody knows this. A lot of you may know him as the Lion King guy.
Yeah, there was a whole
guy had like 2 different careers before that even happened.
Captain Fantastic era where
he Cowboy. Oh God, yeah. And I used to look at that album cover when I was a kid because my sister used to play it a lot. Like, this is wrong. I don't know if you have ever looked at the album cover of that one.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
Yeah.
I knew it as a kid, and Jesus, yeah. And just the brown dirt cowboy. You think about the window there. It's okay. Knowing what you know now, but yeah, Elton John, wonderful. And speaking of that, I want to take a break from this list. I want to go to something else if you don't mind.
Sure.
I would actually really. I don't mean to take the show out of your.
No, go. We're good.
The wheel, but I'd like to go to some choice albums that I want to recommend to people.
Yeah, good. You mentioned that earlier. You had some albums.
And I don't know if you have any albums that you want to recommend to people.
Boy, it has been so long that I wouldn't even be able to do justice to albums from that, because we've gotten so far away from that.
And please interject.
Yeah.
So I didn't do like a top 20 or top. I don't particularly try to hit those target numbers. I just thought about the albums that I liked, and I ended up with 14 of them. And I won't spend tons and tons of time on this list, but I just wanted to give it to you for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Number 14 is actually kind of a cheat because the album itself was released in 1980, and it was a double album. There was, I think, the first 9 songs on the album were the studio recordings, and the which was the first album, and then the second album was live. Now, I don't like the live stuff at all. I don't care about it. But the cool part about this album is everything. The first 9 studio songs were actually 70 songs.
Okay. So
for that reason, it qualifies, and that is Heart's greatest hits / live.
Ah.
And that's another one of those artists where we talked about, he had a whole, Aerosmith had a whole other career before Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Yeah.
Elton John had a whole other career before Can You Feel the Love Tonight? 2 other careers.
Mm-hmm.
Heart, in the rest of the world, I don't know if you're aware of this, they didn't get Heart until Alone, like in the 80s. That was when they first saw Heart.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get any of the 70s Heart stuff. And that's the best stuff. That's Barracuda. That's Straight On. That's Magic Man. Those are some of my favorite songs.
Oh, for sure.
And they're on that album. And I'm not talking DJ stuff. I'm not talking about you're going to want to play this at a gig. Let's get off of that for a minute.
Yep.
This is just cool stuff that I think would be, if you're interested in music at all and you want to hear something that's kind of cool and you're familiar with Heart, but you don't know this stuff, check it out. This is a very good album. Again, and you could probably get a better greatest hits than this, but I wanted to get as close as to the 70s as I could on this.
Right.
So, Heart, greatest hits / live. Next up on the list, one of the songs on the album was like the top song of 1979, but the album itself was pretty brilliant. It was like a post-punk album, and it really kind of set the tone for the 80s stuff. Mm-hmm. And I actually have my copy right here, so I can. That would be The Knack, Get the Knack.
Oh, yes.
From 1979. And let me tell you a funny story about this, if you guys can see this. I remember being a little kid and saying, okay, over here, this guy right here, that's Eric Estrada. I know that. And I know that this guy right here is John Ritter from Three's Company.
Three's Company, yep.
Who are the other 2 guys? No one would tell me, and it really made me mad as an 8-year-old. But yeah, the album is good. I mean, the albums I'm giving you 2, it's like they're front to back listens. You can put the needle on the first track. You can run it all the way through side 1. You could put it on the first track of side 2, run it all the way through, and you're not going to be disappointed. If you hear a song you don't like, you're only going to hear like one maybe. I'm not giving you albums where it's like there's 2 songs on it. I'm giving you solid records here. So that's next on my list.
Yep.
Okay, so now here's another obscure one that you may not be familiar with too much. Joe Jackson. I don't know if you're familiar with this guy at all.
Yep.
Man can do no wrong. He's a very gifted musician. He's a gifted songwriter. He's a chameleon. He can do all kinds of things. But one of his first albums, or it might have been his first album, was Joe Jackson's "Look Sharp" from 1979.
Oh yeah, I remember that album.
Remember that one with, of course, Is She Really Going Out with Him? We heard that. We've heard that in movies. We heard that in There's Something About Mary. And I think somebody remade it a while back too. But the whole album is good. And believe it or not, it's a punk album. It's not, it's a post-punk album. They actually called it New Wave. It wasn't punk. Punk was like, how can I describe punk? Punk is like artsy, but untalented with your instrument. You don't really know how to play, but you're doing it anyway, just for art's sake. New Wave is the spirit of punk, but you actually know how to play your instrument. That's kind of how I define it. That's the New Wave. Sure. And it had a lot of throwbacks to it from the 60s and the short little songs from the 50s. And the Knack album is very much like that. And so was this Joe Jackson album, Look Sharp. So that's on my list. Next one, The Cars, self-titled first album, another New Wave classic. Yeah. And this was the first time I think I ever heard the sound of New Wave. And it was definitely different than any of the rock I'd ever heard. Had some weird synthesizer in it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Cool stuff. It's a New Wave album, make no mistake. It's on the classic radio station, classic hit station, but that is a hardcore New Wave album. Make no mistake about that. Next up, Boston, self-titled, 1976. Classic. This is a front-to-back beautiful piece of work. I know it's been overplayed. Another perfect example of an album that completely benefited from album rock. Well, we talked about that radio format. Yeah. You know every song on that album if you've ever listened to classic hits radio, and not every song was a single, but it was huge. Next up, Van Halen's self-titled album from 1979. Holy crap, that changed my life. That album changed my life. Running with the Devil, You Really Got Me. Jamie's Crying. I mean, the album is just full of great songs, front to back. Listen, my brother scared the hell out of me in his, full-blown hot rod 55 Chevy going down Van Nuys Boulevard in that song once. Good one. Next up, this is, you're going to go, wow, you did a 180. I kind of did. History, America's Greatest Hits. This is a beautiful album. It is. And folky rock. A lot of it's most of it is, I think, pre-74. But you gotta hear it. You gotta own it. Ventura Highway is on a lot of people's number one song list of all time. A lot of people I know who are music geeks, even if they're not into the genre or even they're in the 70s, they still love Ventura Highway. And this is weird because it's like folk progressive, where it's like the lyrics make absolutely no sense, but it's very folky. It's almost country rock. It's beautiful. The whole album is good. Front to back, good listen. Next up, Chicago 9, which is their first greatest hits album. And that's the only reason I picked 9 was because it was a greatest hits album. Yeah. I would recommend more songs to hear from Chicago throughout the 70s. But you got to step into a greatest hits album from the 80s at that point, I believe. Yeah. Chicago's interesting because you've got a lead singer who's in this band. Okay. And he idolizes Ray Charles. That's who he wants to sound like. His name was Terry Kath. And you've got Peter Cetera doing a very different vocal as well. You've got a horn section that's amazing. And they're collection of members from bands in Chicago in the 60s who got together and they kind of did their own thing. And they kind of like were influenced by the band itself. The horn section was very jazzy, but the rock and roll part of it was influenced by things like Spencer Davis Group, like I'm a Man and things like that. That's the sound they were going for. But then you got this white dude, this big beardy white dude singing like Ray Charles on the microphone with his deep voice and crazy cool stuff. He died accidental gunshot wound, I think in 77. Peter Cetera took over like all the vocals up until the 80s sometime. But fantastic band. There were a lot of bands that were like them, like the Ides of March who did Vehicle and things like that. Blood, Sweat, and Tears kind of sounds like Chicago. But yeah, get that one. That's a good Chicago album to have. Fleetwood Mac Rumors, 1977. I really can't say enough about this album,
Yep.
so I'll just be cool about it and not say a lot about it. It's the first 8-track I bought, was that album. David Bowie Changes One Bowie, 1976. Was released on my birthday in 1976 when I turned 5 years old. So, I don't know, it's kind of dorky for me. One of my favorite albums. I really cut my teeth on this one. Check it out. Young Americans is a beautiful album, but I think if you're going to just buy one Bowie album from the 70s, you might want to check this one out because it's a nice collection of a lot of his stuff. Elton John Greatest Hits Volume 2, 1977. And, while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and get his Greatest Hits Volume 1 from 1974. Carole King Tapestry, gorgeous album, wonderful album. Front to back, beautiful, beautiful stuff. That's 1971. And last but not least is the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack from 1977. I don't think I got to tell you why you need to check that out, but you don't. Okay, I'm going to take a breath now. That's my album list.
Brian, when did Queen come out with their greatest hits album?
Ooh, I think that was 80.
Was it all the way into 80?
No, 81, because they did The Game in 80, and the Greatest Hits album came out, I think, in 81, because it had Another One Bites the Dust on it, and it had Crazy Little Thing Called Love on it.
Yeah.
So I think that was 81.
Okay. Yeah, because that was definitely one that.
Yeah.
One of the first Queen albums that I purchased was that one.
No, I was pretty confident that Another One Bites the Dust and Crazy Little Thing Called Love was 80s, but I wanted to check just in case with our list. Sure enough. So the Greatest Hits had to have been after that.
Yeah. Yeah, because Bohemian Rhapsody and We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions was in the mid-70s.
Yes. Yeah, the 76 was News of the World.
Yeah, perfect.
When that one came out.
Cool. Yes, for those of you wondering, we'll put the lists of everything into the description after tonight's show, so you guys will get a chance to check and see all of the different things that we've got there.
I give John my notes section at the end of these shows. I'm thinking, oh, he's going to edit this. Nope, he just does a copy paste. It's all over the place. It doesn't make sense to anybody but me. But
that's it. And I tweaked a couple of things, but yeah,
there's information there for you. So
exactly
on the stuff we're talking about.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, we've had a lot of people who are mentioning different songs and things, and I'm sure we're going to be hitting most of those songs as we go through.
It's weird because we can't hit them all. Yeah. I mean, there's so much going on, and there's so many different genres happening. And then you've got your whole phenomenon with, okay, Australia's doing something that no one else is doing. Like over there in the 70s, even to this day, the big song is it's a Vietnam protest song called Keshan by a band called Cold Chisel. It's like, it's been described to me from Australian DJs as the Australian national anthem, like to this day.
Yeah.
If you play the thing at a gig, people lose their minds.
Wow.
I guess it's kind of like Piano Man with a little bit of Sweet Home Alabama, with a little bit of Paradise by the Dashboard Light, with a little bit of Old Time Rock and Roll, all mixed into one just super song. So that's big there. In the UK, it's like Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel, Come Up and See Me, Make Me Smile was big. Also, they're really big on things like Boney M that we don't get into.
Yep.
Nutbush City Limits. That's another one. Nutbush City Limits by Tina Turner is not on my radar at all. Is it on your radar?
No.
Okay. This song is huge everywhere else in the world.
But
everywhere, England, Australia, New Zealand, whatever. Germany, Nutbush City Limits is a jam.
Interesting.
And that's a 70s tune, but we don't do it. So it's impossible to hit them all. And you guys are going to know stuff that's regional that we don't know.
Yeah.
And it's cool to learn, so please leave those comments of tracks that are hot by you in the comment section of this video. If you're watching it recorded, I'd love to see what you got.
Yeah.
Because it's all about learning. And, if I ever get somebody from, I don't know, wherever you're from at a gig, and then I'll say, oh yeah, well, I know they did that kind of stuff there, and I can play it, and then I look like a rock star. So.
Exactly. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off my not the top 30 songs, because this is, as we were talking kind of about songs that we really like from, this is from Steely Dan. The song's called Peg from 1978.
Peg. Yes.
It wouldn't be one that, it would be one of those if somebody said you can play anything, and I wanted to basically put something in, and it would either be something like a Van Halen, or this particular track would fit into that category of just throw something in for fun.
Right. Now it's interesting you said Peg. I know a lot of people who love that song. There are documentaries that I've watched on that song, not on Steely Dan, but on the
That
song.
song.
Yeah, you've got Michael McDonald in there singing just because he's just there. They used to do that. They didn't like credit people. It wasn't like today when you go to, search for a Pitbull song. It's Pitbull featuring Kesha with DJ Snake and I don't know.
And T.I. walked by as they were recording, so he's on.
The album, so he gets a credit and the title. It wasn't like that back then. They just kind of came in and did stuff. Carly Simon's "You're So Vain." The guy who's singing harmonies with her is Mick Jagger, and he's not even credited anywhere.
Wow.
Not written down anywhere, but it's Mick. And it's kind of the same thing with Michael McDonald. I think he might be credited on this album, but with Peg, it's kind of like that.
Interesting.
But Steely Dan is a big hitter. There was an album that came out in the 80s called A Decade of Steely Dan. It was primarily the stuff from the 70s. Worthwhile. My favorite Steely Dan song, it's on my list somewhere, is from 1972, and that's Do It Again.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like War's Lowrider before War's Lowrider. It's just it's like got a Latin flavor to it. I love the album version because it's like just decadently long and it's got a great jam in it. Santana influenced kind of thing. Beautiful track. But yeah, Steely Dan is wonderful. Wonderful stuff.
Good. What do you got next for us?
Oh, geez. Where are we going? We're going into our favorites list now?
Yeah, we'd figure to hit one or two of those, and then we'll get back into.
Okay, well, I gave you mine. I'm going to give you another one. It's kind of a weirdo track for this band. They did a lot of stuff, but this doesn't sound like anything else they did, at least up until that time. And that's Supertramp's "The Logical Song" from 1978.
Yep, that was on my list too.
Oh, right on. I think it's such a smart song. As I'm older and I'm listening to the lyrics, wow. I mean, it's a very well crafted song. Lyrically, it's smart.
Yeah,
it's really good.
And musically, it gives you that range and such. That it's just good across the board. I enjoy that song.
Beautiful, wonderfully crafted song musically too. But the lyrics wise, it's all around great song. Great song. And it's one of those cool songs. Like if you listen to a song today, it's got one hook in it, and one hook only, and they built an entire song around a hook. In the 70s, songs could have multiple hooks, and The Logical Song is a really good example of that. If you listen to that song, there are probably 6 or 7 different really good hooks in that song. Just parts that you remember. Bum, bum, ba, ba, you remember that part. Then you remember, the lyrics and the B sections and the sax and all that stuff. So, yeah, cool stuff.
Okay, I'm going to jump to another one. Again, I have it in my repertoire, but I've only played it a couple of times, more towards the dinner time, is Feel So Good from 1970.
Chuck Mangione, yes.
Yes, Chuck Mangione there. Just a really kind of a cool song.
A beautiful song.
Great for that kind of dinner time. If you want to have something that's kind of a little jazzy, a little fun, that people are like, hey, yes. I like that. So, personal favorite.
Song. And that was, one of those, there were several of those instrumental hits in the 70s like that. Love Unlimited Orchestra did several. The one that sticks out is Love's Theme. And that was actually like Barry White's band was doing that. And then you had Pick Up the Pieces, Average White Band. Rise by Herb Alpert. I mean, there were a lot of really good instrumentals from the 70s like that I like to play during cocktail. George Benson's Breezin', and there's another really good example of a cool instrumental from the 70s. But yeah, Feels So Good. Nice one. Not on my list anywhere here, but I'm glad you put it in your list. Next tune I have is a song written by Joni Mitchell. She wrote it in 1969. A lot of people recorded it, but the popular version was the 1970 Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young version of Woodstock. It's if you don't know it, check it out. I'm not a Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young guy, or Crosby, Stills and Nash, or any of those guys. I'm not feeling them. Or Stephen Stills. I don't dig the stuff a lot, but Woodstock is an exception. This is a jam, and it was supposed to be kind of a hippie kind of slower kind of down tempo tune. They turned it into like an acid rock song. It's really good. It's got great harmonies. Good tune.
Interesting.
And these are just favorites. This isn't anything you play to gig.
Oh,
exactly. But if you're at a car show or something, and you're seeing Volkswagens sitting around, and put that tune on, they're gonna love you for it.
Jimmy, I think mentioned Styx, and this is not one that I would play pretty much anywhere. Sometimes I played Renegades, but not too often. But that the kind of a power rock song is how I'd classify that. But a good tune from Styx.
What tune is that?
Renegades. I'm sorry.
Oh, Renegade. Yeah, really good tune.
Yeah.
I can't remember what album that was. It was not Grand Illusion.
No, I don't think so. Oh, boy, it's been.
But Styx, Pieces of Eight.
Yeah, it's been a while. I can't remember. And then once I got it on DVD or CD, it was on Greatest Hits.
Styx is one of those bands where you're like, I know a Styx song, or whatever. But if you would go to like a Dynasty Young concert with Tommy Shaw or whatever, and they were playing tunes, you go, oh my God, I forgot about that song.
Yeah, exactly.
They got a huge catalog. Great stuff. Love some Styx. Next to my list is a 1971 track. It's a weirdo progressive rock song. I like the album version, the super long version. I don't know why it's so wrong, but I like it. And that is Roundabout by Yes. I love that song. I can't. That's what's cool about music. Sometimes you don't know why you like something.
Yep.
Most of the time I can break it down for you. Sometimes I cannot. And there's no reason. There's no reason why I like it. I just do. I don't know why. So that's right there.
Okay, one more, and then we'll get back into
one more from you, John, then we'll get back to the list.
1973, Argent with Hold Your Head Up.
Ooh, nice.
Not a great tune for a dance floor, but it's a great just a great listening song.
And sometimes that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking about our personal favorites, of course, who cares if you can dance or not? But
exactly.
That's a really good tune.
And now we're going to get into the ones that everyone plays and everyone should know.
Yeah, everyone likes. Like the standards. And
yeah,
you
that's
can go wrong with them, and they're not as much fun, but
they make us money.
Right. Next on my list is ABC by Jackson 5.
Yep.
It's just one of those tunes that people like. It's Motown. It's actually, to be quite candid, it's an awful recording of it. It doesn't sound very good at all.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Very mid-heavy. You can get like the master tape of this thing and it still sounds like complete ass, and I don't know why, but it's a very popular song.
Yeah, it's not a great tune.
No.
Gonna go kind of a dancey feel with from 1979, Amy Stewart with "Knock on Wood."
Wow, on your A list. That's cool.
This is one I don't think it wasn't on my A list for a very, very long time, and then all of a sudden it must have had one of those experiences where it was used because even my kids knew it.
Right.
So but this is when my oldest were in first in kindergarten, so or might have been in a video game,
and that's how it works sometimes.
And it became in the play, and it's one of those that people know and recognize that
it was in some Disney movie or whatever.
Yeah, however it was.
And they jump on it.
Yeah.
Pop culture. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, for sure.
See, we talked about Think Out of Country Boy. That was next to my list.
Yep.
I've got Car Wash by Rose Royce.
I thought about that.
1976 on that one.
Mm-hmm.
People do the car wash, a little dance to it.
Mm-hmm.
And even the clap at the beginning. I mean, it's one of those songs, the intro isn't great on it, but people know it. I'll leave it. It's coming, it builds. So, yeah, car wash.
Let's see. I want to try to... this one actually surprised me. I had forgotten that this was actually... I again would group this into the 80s. Kiss in 1976 with Rock and Roll All Night, the live version was...
okay. Oh, yeah.
That came out, and it was hot. The live version was hot in 76. And
yes.
I mix that in with my 80s, really my 80s hair band, with the AC/DC, and because it all
works.
It all works, yeah.
Yeah, the 80s Kiss is... early on was the Unmasked stuff, which isn't on anybody's radar. And then I think in, I want to say 83, they did Lick It Up, which was almost like, it wasn't the old Kiss, but it was good. And then they followed up with Analyze, and then you got all your 80s Kiss stuff right there. 83 is, but all the old, like I Was Made for Loving You, Rock and Roll All Night, Detroit Rock City, Death, all of those tunes are 70s.
Yeah. A lot of great tunes there.
Yes, are. Next up on my list is Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Michael Jackson.
Oh.
Just one of the songs off of Off the Wall, which is his first big solo album with Epic Records, when he can kind of go off and do his own thing. I recently saw a complete documentary on this album, just this album.
Wow.
It was 2 hours long, talking about this album. It was very interesting. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. I really like the song. I think I'm more of a fan of Off the Wall, the song Off the Wall from Off the Wall. But yeah, no, this is a tune everybody knows.
Yeah.
And I played a lot, and I play around with it a little bit. Like there's a break in the middle of the song, because it's a long tune. There's a break in the middle where they go into this B section, and then he does one of those oohs, and it goes pom, and then it goes back into the familiar part of the song. Right at that woo, you can cut there and go to something else if you want to. I've done that a lot. It's like a cool break. And I've gone into like party rock from there. I've gone into blurred lines from there. A lot of stuff. So it's a good tune to have in your arsenal.
My next one, Grand Funk Railroad from 1975 with Some Kind of Wonderful.
That's on my list too. Yeah, it's a really good song.
Great song, nice transitional song.
Sure.
And it's something people know. There we go. It's a high recognition, but yet it isn't overplayed as some of them we're going to be getting to here in a few minutes.
Oh, they're all over. This list is like no fun to me. I mean, I hear it too much.
Yeah.
But for the sake of the audience, here you go.
Yep, exactly. And
we're here to help.
Then we'll get into some of our surprise choices.
Yeah. September Earth, Wind and Fire is on next up on my list. I love the song. I really do. I think I prefer other Earth, Wind and Fire songs, but this is the popular one that everybody wants to hear.
And it goes over across the board.
I almost can't lose with it. If I've got people over the age of 35, even, I mean, even younger, I can't lose with this tune. If I'm like, what do I do? I'm kind of, you know what? Let's start a brand new set and let's do it with September, and just, and that you can go to disco from there. You can go to funk from there. You can go newer from there. You can go a lot of places. It's a good transitional song. They talked about that last week. They're like, what are the transitional tunes? There's a transitional song for you right there that just works in a lot of instances. You can do a lot of things with it. You can end a set. You can start a set. Whatever. It's a good tune. And it's powerful.
Very much so. Very, very much so. My next one, kind of going more into rock and roll, I've got Blondie from 1978 with Heart of Glass. That
was originally a reggae song. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
That was a reggae tune. Blondie was a punk band that played at CBGB's, which was an interesting club in the Bowery of New York, which is kind of like, I don't know. It would be kind of like, and it's still that way today. If you go to the Bowery, it's very industrial. It's like it's like hardware stores and stuff. I mean, back then, it was flop houses, but it was a lot of warehouses and storage places and a lot of industrial supply things. The guy opened a bar there, crappy bar, terrible bar. He didn't want to pay any ASCAP royalty. So he decided that the only people who could come into his bar were people who played original music. They had to play their own original songs. And CBGB stands for Country, Bluegrass, and Blues. That's what it stands for. And he never got anybody in there to play any country or bluegrass. He thought it was going to be the next big thing. And he said, and it was the next big thing in Nashville. But here, it was the birth of punk rock. And Blondie was one of those bands that played there. And everybody did disco. And like I said before, you're punk for a while. Then when you learn how to play your instrument, you get good. You're no longer punk. You graduate. It is something. No, but you're not. Like the Pretenders did that. They were punk and then they got good. Now they're not punk anymore.
Yeah.
Public Image Limited, they were the Sex Pistols, or John Lydon was Johnny Rotten, but he can't be punk anymore, so he's got to do something else. There are tons of acts like that, and Blondie's one of them. That was a reggae song from, I think, 1975, and they reworked it into the disco song that you know today.
Interesting.
I thought so.
Yeah, cool. What do you have next for us?
We Are Family, Sister Sledge. This 1979. This is a Nile Rodgers Bernard Edwards production. those are the Gentlemen and Chic. Niall, guitar player, famous guy. He just did a lot of the production on the new Daft Punk album. Yeah, Niall is amazing. I named a cat after Nile Rodgers. It's so cool. From the band Chic, he what did he do? He did Madonna's Like a Virgin album. He did David Bowie's Let's Dance. He did Duran Duran's Seven and a Ragged Tiger. But he also did all those Funky Sister Sledge songs. He did who's the other band he produced? I think he did some Pointer Sisters stuff. Tons and tons and tons of stuff was actually Niall and Bernard as a team. Brad Edwards passed away, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember hearing on the radio, on the way home from a gig on the AM radio, they said that Bernard Edwards had died. He was the bass player who co-produced with Niall. But yeah, this is a really good song. We Are Family. And it sounds like all the other Chic songs that you know.
Very much so.
So.
I'm going to go slow it down again with my other slow song, my two 70 slow songs that I guess there's a couple more in the back here. But the one I really like is Billy Joel, 1978, Just the Way You Are. And it's not exactly
song.
a super slow song, but it's just a really pretty
it's a
song.
beautiful song. I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, I really enjoy that song, and it works wonderfully on the dance floor.
He's a song craftsman. I mean,
no question.
I don't enjoy everything Billy Joel does, especially the 70s stuff. I'm hit or miss, but the man can write, the man can play. I got a lot of respect for him, and he seems like just a good dude.
Yep. Yeah. Mega talented. All right, what do you have next?
Summer Nights / You're the One That I Want, because they're all one and the same to me. Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, produced by Barry Gibb from the Grease soundtrack. I think that was 78.
Yep.
I hate it, but people like it. And I will say that as a DJ, I play them in that order. I'll do Summer Nights, and then immediately I will follow it up with You're the One That I Want. So beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. They get all the grease out in one shot and leave me alone about it. That's how I do it. I don't like the mega mix as much. I like this better.
I've never been a big fan of the mega mix myself, but
it's fine. But I don't think people get real excited about Grease Lightning. I just don't. There are a couple mega mixes like that. They're cool, but I think there's too much filler. You might as well just play the whole version of the song they really like, and that's the case with these two.
Yep, very much so.
I won't say any more about these songs because I hate them.
My next tune,
yes.
from the Four Seasons, 1976 with December 63. Oh, what a night.
Nice.
This is another song when early in the process, I don't think I played it as much as I probably have the last 10 years.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you playing the original 1975 version, or are you playing the 1988 remix?
There was a remix, and I try to stay away from that one. And
really?
I have had...
You're playing the original, huh?
I prefer the original, kind of like
wow.
I prefer the original.
John.
I prefer Tommy James, Moni Moni, over Billy Idol, unless I'm in the right situation.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well played, brother. What's on my list here? Brick House Commodores. I don't really like it.
What's that? What you want?
Brick House by the Commodores.
Oh, yeah, Brick House.
It's next up on my list. It's a must-have. You need to have it if you're a mobile DJ.
You do.
All these songs I'm talking about on this must-have list, have them. Just do. Some are optional, but these here, a lot of the stuff I talk about with the records and just the songs that I like, whatever, take it or leave it. But
these are must-have.
You gotta have it. I think a lot of these are pretty universal too. It's not just a regional thing.
Exactly. Like the next one.
In the U.S. anyway.
Next one I've got is from 1970, Simon and Garfunkel with Cecilia.
Nice one. Nice.
What it comes out of the 60s. It still has a lot of that 50s, 60s feel. It can blend in with that and segue you into so many different places and so many different genres. It's
and like you were talking about last week, I mean, that's a really good one to either have before or after your Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely sets up a lot of great tunes.
What do I got here? I play that funky music Wild Cherry, which I usually play right after Brick House. In fact, I mix them in the break at the end of Brick House and the intro. I play that funky music. You can actually demix those without quantizing them. I do it. It's seamless. People don't even know what's happening. So, that's a great, like a 2 for Tuesday kind of thing. People really like it.
Nice.
And then you can actually mix out of Play That Funky Music into Staying Alive. You can beat mix it without quantizing. You can do that too. A little more advanced, but it can be done.
Well, then we'll just go to Stayin' Alive, as long as you mentioned that one, because I think that's probably on both of our lists as a higher song.
Yeah, I think it's number one on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I just took the number one song.
No, don't worry about this. Plenty of other stuff to talk about.
But one of those songs that it's interesting now, because when we first started, kind of Stayin' Alive and YMCA were kind of played somewhat close because more because we were naive. It's interesting that today on a dance floor, I will have a better response out of Stayin' Alive 8 times out of 10 than I will YMCA.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting thing is that at one time it was certainly the opposite, but today
it's a staple.
Yeah.
I think that happens. It's kind of become like the classic rock stuff.
Yeah.
Where the YMCA is still kind of campy, and it's something the kids can do.
Exactly. Yep. It's really become a crowd participation.
Right. And that's fine. Yeah. It's still limbo. But it's yeah, you're right. Staying Alive is a staple.
Yeah.
And there aren't many gigs where I don't play it. What I will say is that since we're on the subject, I don't consider it a disco song. It's a top 40 song. It's a pop song.
Yeah.
Disco is a very, very different animal for me. I go deep. So.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is it's disco influenced pop. It's danceable pop, but it doesn't really make it disco. How's that sound?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got next?
Dancing Queen by Abba. And when I play Dancing Queen, if I get a really good response from it, I will follow that up with Take a Chance on Me by Abba.
Oh, a back-to-back.
I'll do it back-to-back. If they're into it, I'll do it back-to-back. And the reason I do that is because although Dancing Queen is the more popular song, Take a Chance on Me is a better song, especially for dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually get even a bigger dance floor for the second song.
Yeah. Yep. When it starts out with it's Take a Chance, Take a Chance, Take a Chance.
Right. They hear it and they know it.
It's like, oh yeah,
it's almost like that intro gives them a chance to get on the dance floor where they start bouncing, because it's a very bouncy song.
Yeah.
And they bounce to it. It's fun.
Okay, let's see. Where do I want to go? I'm going to go old again.
Yes.
Eric Clapton, towards the end of the 70s, came out with Wonderful Tonight.
Yes. Nice one.
Beautiful song, and the legs that song has had is incredible. I mean, you don't have songs that are still requested for weddings and in the prime spots.
Yes.
And it's still there.
It is. It's one of those songs where if you'd never heard it before and someone played it for you, I don't think you could put your finger on when it was recorded.
Yeah.
I would tell somebody, this came out last week, and they'd be like, oh, really?
Yeah, 40 years ago.
It ages well.
How's
that sound?
Yeah. 40 years ago it came out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
And it'd still be so strong.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got next?
Shout by Otis Day in the Night. This is off the Animal House soundtrack. This is the only version of Shout I'll play. I play the long version where at the beginning they go, do you want to dance? Yeah. And it goes into the piano part. This is my version of Shout. Technically, I would play it probably more in a 6C set, but it's a 70s song.
Yep.
On my list.
And you can come out of that at the end into an upbeat 80s or really almost anything.
Anything.
Because it really sets you up well.
I do the trifecta. I think I mentioned it last week. I do the twist and shout. So those work really well as a group.
You've got them covered. Let's see. There's one I had that I was looking up here. Did we talk about Gloria Gaynor?
No, we haven't talked about Gloria Gaynor yet.
Yeah, with I Will Survive.
That's an oddball because it's a breakup song. But we played at weddings. It's very popular at weddings, but it's so breakup.
Yeah, it is. And I think we kind of talked a little bit about that, about not playing some songs, and then it's like everyone's looking for, come on, I want to play Cecilia next. Yes, Pastor, we'll get that in just a minute.
Right. Brown-eyed girl for my daughter. She has brown eyes. Exactly.
But
it's a breakup song, but it's definitely one to have.
Yeah.
It's number 2 on my list, by the way.
Oh. Cool. What do you got?
I think I'm going to bounce around a little bit. I'm going to go up to, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
I'd like to do some B-list as you called them,
Mm-hmm.
tracks as well. Talk about a couple here. This is one that I play during dinner a lot because I don't think people are going to dance to it, but anyone my age and older would probably know it. And it's a song you don't hear very much, and it's a happy song. And it's very wedding appropriate, and that is Love Will Keep Us Together, the Captain and Tennille from 1975.
Yep.
I like doing that one for just dinner.
Yeah. A great campy little song that people can sing along to.
Written by Neil Sedaka.
Yeah.
Who I'll admit it to the world, I'm a Neil Sedaka fan of his work in the 70s. I don't care much for his Calendar Girl stuff and all that, but the stuff that he did in the 70s, I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a gem. He was better as a 30-year-old songwriter performer than he was in his 20s, I think. Do you have something on your B list?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I've got. We can get into a lot of that.
This is where it gets. Yeah. Okay. What do you got?
One that I was a surprise me song is from Dr. Hook and Medicine Show with the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
This is a sing-along type song that people would get into and sing, and it had this little storyline, and it was just kind of a fun little silly song.
Yes.
The cover of the Rolling Stone from Dr. Hook, 1972.
The other Dr. Hook song, it's on a lot of people's favorites list. A breakup song again.
Yep.
They love it. It's Sylvia's Mother. I don't know if you know that song or not.
My father was a huge, okay. So I know them all. It's just I can't, beyond a couple of obvious hits, I couldn't tell you if they were hits or not, because in my household
Doesn't
they were.
matter. They were hits in my house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Sylvia's Mother is one of those songs where it's like no other song is going to do but this one. I've ran across that actually several times. Yeah, Sylvia's Mother. And it's like, oh my God, really? That's a depressing, but people love it. So some people do. It's a good one. Copacabana, Yellow, 1978. You can do a lot with a song. You can play for background. If you've got a real silly crowd and they want to do a lot of mainstream disco-esque dance songs, it's a good one to throw in there. Barry Manilow is just funny. And I'm a closet Barry fan, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Kiss my ass. I like Barry Manilow. What are you going to do? It is what it is.
It is. And he's got some good music. And there's numerous songs that fit in to certain situations very, very well. And those are...
Yeah, you can program with Barry, but I just dig Barry anyway. I just listen to him in my free time. I like Barry Manilow. And he's had a real interesting career, and he's a real interesting guy, too. But, yeah, cool stuff with that. What else you got on your B list here?
A song from Wings from 1976. They did a version. Now, I don't care for their version as well. Maybe I'm Amazed is the song. And it's not quite slow enough for me. Now, I saw McCartney do this once, and he slowed it down even farther. Mm-hmm. And he stayed slow the whole time. And it's like, I love that. I've been looking for that version. Then in around the early 2000s, JEM, J-E-M, came out with their version of Maybe I'm Amazed. Beautiful song. And what I like about that is theirs is a nice kind of a piano slow with a female vocal, a very beautiful voice. And what it works is because people recognize the song.
Yeah.
And they can sing along to it, and it can have that beautiful moment. It's in the 70s, it's a mention, but when we get into the 2000s, that's a money song for me that I've had people come up and say, "Ooh, who is that? I got to get that. My lady just fell in love with me again."
Yeah.
That's one of those songs. It's powerful. It's a great tune.
Did Paul write that?
I think he did, because yeah. I was looking at that. Paul wrote that.
Okay.
Because
there's a song that
I'm pretty sure I was looking at that earlier, and I think he wrote it.
I'm sure he did, but there's a song that Wings did that Rod Stewart wrote when he was in the band Runt, and I don't remember.
Was that My Love?
Maybe, I don't remember.
Oh, that could have been, but My Love was
It doesn't matter, but anyway, it just made me think of that.
Yeah.
So, was it Runt? Maybe. No, Runt was what Todd Rundgren was in. Whatever band that Rod Stewart was in, it doesn't matter. Next up on my list, this is a new one that just kind of popped up. This is a song you might want to have around because people will ask for it. It's usually guys in the 20s. I don't know, a TV show or movie or whatever it was on. But that's You Make My Dreams Come True by Hall & Oates.
Mm-hmm.
It had a resurgence. So I had it anyway. It might be something you want to throw in your library because it might be coming to your town. All of a sudden, it just appeared. And the other one that did that, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago was Toto's Africa. Out of nowhere, Toto's Africa appeared.
Oh, and it's still hot today. People are using it on doing things as yeah, somebody said 1969 is when McCartney wrote that. But yeah, Africa was just popular on YouTube a week ago again. That some folks were doing a lip sync to it.
I don't know why. But yeah, this song and what I like to do is follow it up with 2 minutes and 22 seconds of absolute bliss. One of those things again where it's like, this song's fine, but this song's better.
Mm-hmm.
I like to one up the request sometimes. I like to go Rich Girl after that one. And the funny part about it is the little hipster kids don't know it, but mom and dad know it, and they go crazy.
Right.
So, fun.
Interesting. Do you cut the beginning of Rich Girl?
Huh?
It starts out Rich Girl. It starts
You're
out.
a rich girl, and you're going too far because you know it don't matter.
Yeah. Cause they don't have a beat to it at that time. He's just basically.
No, but that's what they know it. They know it.
Oh, for sure.
It's, he says bitch in it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a bitch girl.
So the next song is not on my must play, but it was one that surprised me. I would not have put this as early as 1972 with Alice Cooper and School's Out.
Wow, yeah.
I did not know that it was that early. I mixed that when I have played it and had requests. I mixed it in with the 80s kind of hair bandish.
Oh, no.
You know, kind of used that as a segue into that.
Now, what year was School's Out? 72?
72.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed quite that early.
I didn't. That surprised me because I kind of thought it was more towards the end of that and going from that to a almost a Twisted Sister almost type of a song.
Right.
Really going.
Yeah, he was around in the 80s. He was doing stuff, but it was nothing that's on anybody's radar. Like the Constrictor album came out in, I think, 85 or something like that. He had a couple other ones that popped up. And they were fun. But so the popular Alice stuff is early 70s primarily.
Yeah, and I just didn't realize it was that early.
My turn?
Yeah, go.
Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett.
Yep.
This is a song you need to have. In fact, if you just get the whole, I think it's the album is called Songs You Know by Heart.
Yep.
And it's the greatest hits that Buffett does. Just buy it because and I hate Jimmy Buffett. I hate him. Like I hate Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I hate Jimmy Buffett. I don't like him. I don't get it.
But
there are people who are like batshit about him.
Yep.
Like my sister and my niece. They go to Buffett concerts. They can't wait to go to the Margaritaville Bar and Grill when they go to Vegas. I'm not that guy. I'm not that. I think it's a boating culture thing.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, that's one half.
Interesting.
People, and they call the people, if you really like Jimmy Buffett, they call them parrot heads. So if anyone ever identifies themselves as a parrot head, that means they like Jimmy Buffett. So they probably also like the Eagles. They are Eagles. And they like Jackson Brown, and they like some country, and that's kind of what a parrot head is. So just plain out.
My next one is we're going to feature a band that had 3 songs that I really, really like. Now, that maybe not so much for the play, although I do play them occasionally. Little River Band. The song Reminiscing, which I have worked that into sets. Lonesome Loser, which is, I think, just kind of an awesome song for listening.
Cool song, yeah.
And Lady. All 3 have been on my playlist at different times over the years, but Reminiscing was probably the most played. And then Madison Avenue, I believe, she did a remix of this.
It's a beautiful version of that song.
That was kick butt. The only negative thing with that one is that it really didn't hit in the States.
No.
And the music video that is out there for it is a little, like it's 320 by 240 low res.
And it's lame.
And it's not very good.
That is the most beautiful remake.
Yeah.
And you know that Madison Avenue is Australian, as is Little River Band, and that's why that happened. That was remade for the Sydney Olympics in 2000. That's why they did it.
Ah.
It was to honor Little River Band, and they were the hot thing because They had just done Don't Call Me Baby and all that stuff as singles. I was in Australia when Reminiscing was on the charts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just that's another life I had a long time ago. But I was actually in Sydney when that was a hit. A lot of things were hits when I was in Sydney that weren't really ever hits here that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a beautiful song. And that is my favorite version of the song. But no one knows it.
Yeah, exactly. There's very, very few. Okay, what do you got next?
Oh, what have I got next? Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang, 1979.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that one in the chat a little bit ago.
The interesting part about that song is they lived Good Times by Chic. We talked about Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. And they decided that, hey, what's going on? They went to 54, and that's a whole nother story with Nile Rodgers in Studio 54. That's a story we'll tell later. But they were at 54, and they heard this tune, and these guys are rapping behind it. It's like, what is this? This is our tune. It's like, wait, this isn't our tune. What did we do to our song? So they filed suit against Sugar Hill. And they thought, well, we're just going to handle this legally. We'll file suit. We gotta, get paid for our stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So in response, Sugar Hill sent these thugs to Nile Rodgers' hotel room, and they hung over the balcony, like threatened to kill him because they were thuggish. I mean, they just, yes. It all worked out in the end. They were all friends. But that's kind of how that went down. And that was like the first, technically the first rap by a rap artist on the charts.
Cool.
79.
Great tune. The next one, gang, I'm going to need some help with this one. The song is from Looking Glass, and the song is called Brandy. Good song. Yes. I enjoyed listening to this. This is a personal favorite. Mm-hmm. My question is, which Bill Murray movie did he sing this?
Ooh.
Now, right now online, you can go and find from 2014, you can find Bill Murray and Clint Eastwood singing Brandy with a cover band. It's kind of hokey, bad quality.
I'm going to guess it was from The Life Aquatic.
I'm not sure. I want to say it was Stripes. But I
don't remember him singing that in Stripes.
I don't remember. So
what did he sing in Stripes? He sings something really goofy in Stripes.
He did a version of Do-Wah Diddy.
He did something else too.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of things, but I don't think it would have been.
He did that when they were marching, but there was something else. He was.
Yeah, I couldn't place it. So if anybody out there can remember, Bill Murray really brought this onto the radar because when he did that, shortly thereafter, I had people, hey, can you?
I don't ever remember him doing that.
Yeah, he sang it somewhere, and of course now it's become one that's on the internet for him. Okay,
what do you
got?
Okay, this is the only song I've ever played 5 times in a row at a gig.
No way.
Yeah, 5 times in a row. And every time I played it, the dance floor got more and more intense.
No way.
The only reason I stopped playing it was just because I felt ridiculous playing it 6 times. For some reason, 5 was okay. 6 was the number. Was like it's over the top. It's actually a song I really love, and it's one a lot of people forgot about. It's when you play it. I mean, you may have forgotten about it. So when I say it, you're gonna go, oh yeah, that one. Keep It Comin' Love by Casey and the Sunshine Band, 1976. It's the best Casey and the Sunshine Band song, bar none. It's so good. It's not too fast, it's not too slow, but it's just got that dun 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 dun. People love that tune. It's beautiful.
Casey, that's not in my playlist at all. I've got a couple of other Casey with That's the Way I Like It and That's the
Way I Like It and
Shake Your Booty.
I'm Your Boogeyman. Shake Your Booty.
Yeah, those are all in there, not on the top.
Get Down Tonight. Keep It Comin' Love. Trust me. Check this tune out.
I'm gonna have to listen to that. It's
just check it out. Give it a listen. Write it down. This has been one of my secret weapons for 25 years.
Interesting. Yeah, I will definitely.
I just had it, and I just drop it sometimes, and people are like, oh, wow, like because everybody plays the other Casey songs.
So for those of you wondering, by the way, I am taking notes. I've got my printouts, and I am taking notes on.
Brian keeps talking.
Brian is giving me good information. I'm just drawing lines and taking notes, and
No, but for real, I mean, if I tell you anything tonight, just remember that is a great tune to play for the right crowd. If you've got a crowd that's into the 70s music and they're into Casey and things, drop that tune. Again, I played it 5 times in a row.
Wow, that is
5 times. And it was like in this redneck wedding. It wasn't even like a city thing or whatever. It was a total redneck wedding. There were bikers there, and they went nuts. And I'll never forget that.
that's
like,
something.
Play it again. I'm like, all right.
All of the songs that you'd think, multiple plays.
Yes, 5 times.
5 times.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned redneck, so that brings me to my next from Jim Stafford. Jim Stafford in 1974 came out with a little song you could sing along to called the Wildwood Weed.
Oh, Jesus.
If you remember that one. And this little song was something that wasn't on my radar whatsoever until probably about the mid 90s. There was people would request this song. They would request Who the Blank is Alice. And there was a third
right.
one.
Oh, geez.
The Gompies is one of the groups that there's a couple that have done that one. But
that's a big one. That's who the hell was that? Arlo Guthrie, right?
That did
Alice's Restaurant.
No. This is Who They Blank. It's Who the F is Alice. It's about singing about this girl next door, and her name is Alice, and it's I think it might be regional. It's something when we do our show or we do a live show and we can actually play music. This is definitely one, because it's kind of like some of those college type songs where people really got into it.
I've heard of it before, but I don't know, for some reason I always thought it had something to do with Arlo Guthrie. But okay.
Yeah. So Wildwood from Jim Stafford was you can't dance to it. It's a sing along song, and in the right crowd where they can sing along and talk about them sitting on the pile of marijuana seeds at the end of the song, laughing as they
beautiful.
Fun stuff.
It's the kind of stuff you want to play.
Sitting on a sack of seed. Yep, right there.
Speaking of marijuana, my next song is by a band called King Harvest, and Dancing in the Moonlight, 1973. That is another one of those songs.
Who sings that one?
King Harvest.
There we go.
Dancing in the Moonlight. That is a song that's popped up in TV commercials and movies. People know it, and it's not particularly a fast song, but if you're doing rock, I think it's a really good song to throw into his set. It's nice. It's kind of a funky rock song. I mean, the chorus has got some nice, funky drum beats and stuff. So it's a cool one.
Yeah.
On my list.
Yeah, very cool. I didn't think we could put together a 70s list of songs without noticing that Star Wars theme in 1977 charted.
Mecco!
They charted pretty high. So there we threw for the sci-fi people out there, we threw that in.
The disco version is what they called it, I think.
And you've got to have some of this, because I think I've used this for introductions half a dozen or more times. Yeah. There's somebody who'll be like, can you play? I want to do. Sure. Yeah.
You know what no one talks about, like ever? I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
They did one for Empire Strikes Back too. Do you remember it?
No, I don't.
It was really good. I liked it a lot better than and it was basically to Darth Vader's theme. That dun 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 dun.
I don't even know if I ever heard it.
Like a disco kind of thing with that one when Empire Strikes Back came out. And it was called Empire Strikes Back. Had like a B section where R2-D2 was getting thrown and going, wow, screaming. Yeah. Oh, it was a great one. I liked it better than the Mecha one, but no one ever talks about it. And then the end of it was Darth Vader breathing. It was kind of like his theme, but it was the Empire Strikes Back thing.
Interesting.
So just for fun, if you want to just jot that down and try to find that. I don't think I own it, but I remember hearing it on the radio all the time. Really good. Totally off topic.
Cool. Okay, so what do you got next?
Shake Your Groove Thing, Peaches and Herb, 1978. One of those pseudo disco tunes that you can play. People like it.
There we are.
And it's kind of like a Knock on Wood. You can play it in those sets. You could play September and follow it up with Shake Your Groove Thing if you want to, with the right crowd.
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. One song that I've kind of worked into disco sets when I've had crowds that are really into disco is from Leo Sayer, You Make Me Feel Like Dancing.
I love that song.
And we remember the first time through when it came out, and it was used on every show that was on TV at the time. It was on the Gong Show, and it was on these talk Real People, and I mean any of these shows that existed at that time. This was on there.
I used to do some pretty crazy stuff after my daughter's mother and I split up, and I started spending time in Manhattan, and I don't even know why. I just would go, And I would go to these bars in Times Square, and there's like 3 a.m. and the DJ's playing all this, cool hipster down tempo house kind of stuff or whatever, or hip stuff, and I kept saying, you know what, I want to hear "You Make Me Feel Like Dancing" by Leo Sayer. We don't play that here. We don't play that here. I drop a $20 bill. I say, I want to hear that song. We don't play that here. I drop another 20. It cost me $170 more, $160 one night, but I got it played. Just to say I did it. I can tell my grandkids. Yeah, I spent $160 on hearing Leo Sayers "You Make Me Feel Like Dancing" in Times Square at 3 a.m. one time. Totally screwed the DJ's setup, but he was happy to have the cash.
Exactly. It was the most money you made all week.
So what's it really going to take? I just kept dropping him. He's like, oh my God, fine. And you put it on. So.
Okay, what do you got next for us?
Cruising by Smokey Robinson, 1979.
Nice.
You got to be careful with this one because it's really slow, but it's got the best chorus, and everyone knows the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hooky. It was remade in 2000 by Huey Lewis and Gwyneth Paltrow for the movie Duets, the karaoke movie, which our friend Carl, Karaoke Carl, was in. Now, again, I was in Australia for a while. That song was on the charts when I was in Australia. Mm-hmm. It's the only place it charted was in Australia. But no, the Smokey version is really cool. Yeah. For the right crowd, it's a great song to play. And I just started playing it again recently, like the last year or two.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I want to go to. We haven't done a slow one. A slow one for a while. One song that I get requests for, and I've had over the years. This has probably would have been one of the most requested 70s slow song that I don't play. Is from Harry Chapin, "Cats in the Cradle."
Yeah, I like that one.
I like the song well enough, but I'll tell you what, there's such a. It's kind of like Garth Brooks' "The Dance." It's going to bring your room down. Yeah. It's a really kind of a sobering. I mean, you can have your fun drunk guys, and then all of a sudden at the end of that song, they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go home and hug our dad." Yeah. I killed my floor. But it is a neat song.
I believe that if you're a 70s man, you're either a Cats in the Cradle guy, or you're an Andrew Gold Lonely Boy guy. I am an Andrew Gold Lonely Boy guy. Same crap, same story, different song. Yep. And that's on my favorites list. That tune, in every way, is wonderful. When I was young, I liked it just because it had a cool, hooky verse and chorus and intro. The song is just one big hook. Mm-hmm. Great B section. I listened to it again. Holy crap, this thing's produced beautifully. And the musicians who play on it are so tight. And there's some really cool stuff happening in that song, percussion-wise, they're just oddballs. It shouldn't really work. There's a drum beat that's a little off, but it's consistently a little off. It's very cool. Great song, but yeah, kind of the same vibe.
Interesting.
Same kind of thing. Daddy issues.
Daddy issues, yeah.
It's a daddy issue song.
Yes. Somebody's crying.
What about me?
Somebody on our chat board's crying now.
Yeah.
They're getting emotional. Okay. What do you got next?
I Can't Get Enough of Your Love. Bad Company, 1974. Mm-hmm. Really good one to play if you're playing rock. And you can surprise them with this one. Again, one of those really rare danceable rock songs. Yep. Like genuine rock and roll, not top 40 rock, but genuine rock and roll. Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Bad Company, 1974. See,
I preferred Rock and Roll Fantasy.
That's a good one too.
From Bad Company, because they're the same thing. A good.
Can't Get Enough of Your Love. Well, think of Can't Get Enough of Your Love like a really nice counterpart to Some Kind of Wonderful by Grand Funk.
Yeah, very much so. Great.
If you look at them in that regard when you're doing sets, I think you'll find that it might work for you.
Yeah, they're both very, very good stuff. Let's see, where was Thin Lizzy?
Was it back in town? Jailbreak 76, baby.
Time for some Thin Lizzy, because there we go. I want to make sure. Boys Are Back in Town. Just a classic staple of that people know, and I think a lot of cover bands, that was a real staple.
74. It was Jailbreak 74, right?
It charted in 76, so it could have been released in late 74. and
Okay,
it
yeah.
finally hit the peak in '76.
Thin Lizzy.
But yeah,
Yeah,
Good
they
too.
did one album, and the lead singer, he committed suicide, I think. He was a really depressed guy. But they were real promising. And there are people who love Thin Lizzy. I mean, I run into these people once in a while. I don't care. Usually boys are back in town when you want to play, but then they start asking for songs like Jailbreak.
Yep.
And it's like, crap. Can I just put some headphones on you and let you listen to it? Because you're going to kill my whole
everything.
vibe here.
Yep. You're gonna
But they really like this song. So
yeah. Okay, what do you have next?
let's see. You talked about that one. Let's go on to this one is one that I play once in a while. Not a lot, but once in a while. When I do, it goes over really well. And that's Rod Stewart's "So You Think I'm Sexy" from 1978.
Yep.
Rod Stewart's attempt at mainstream disco-esque stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good one to have in your arsenal.
Really, Rod Stewart is one of those artists that you just get by his greatest hits, so you have everything.
Yeah.
Because I have made money off. There's numerous times I've had someone come up and drop the 20 thing and say, "Hey, can you play a song from Rod Stewart?" Which one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you probably don't have it, but here.
You got "Baby Jane" from 1983.
Like,
as a matter of fact, I do.
I do. Thank you very much.
That's right.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to go. Joe Walsh is one that
nice.
Life's Been Good. It's one of those songs. It's not a dance song, but boy, when you get to that time where you need to have that kind of a breather towards the latter hour, you need to kind of reset a little bit, give the crowd a chance to go get a drink, and maybe they just brought pizza out.
Yeah.
This is a money song because people know it, and it can do they can do their thing. They'll sing along a little bit to it, and you can bring your dance floor back from it after you're done.
I believe that's off the album "You Can Tune a Guitar, But You Can't Tune a Fish."
I think so.
Either that or "The Smoker You Get." I don't remember which one.
No, I don't think it was that one, but
I think it's "You Can Tune a Guitar, But You Can't Tune a Fish" is the album that was on. And he was a member of the Eagles too. He was a solo artist, and then he joined the Eagles. I think right before they did the album Hotel California, and he's all over that song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe he did much singing in the Eagles, but he was a wonderful guitar player in the Eagles and really contributed a lot to the band. And to this day, he's in the Eagles. But then he also did his own stuff. He did his solo stuff.
Yeah. Yep. He had.
And I think that was probably his biggest. He did Strobe. That's pretty cool. He did a couple other songs that people know, but you're not necessarily going to play them, like "In the City." That was on the movie. That's the end credits to the movie The Warriors, which is a really odd choice, but it's there. A couple others, but yeah, cool guy. Weirdo. Yeah, it's a good one to have. You're right. Next up, I have "Le Freak" by Chic, 1978. I told you I was going to tell you a story about Chic in Studio 54, right?
Yeah, yep.
So Chic is like this funky R&B disco-esque band, very talented musicians, too good for what they're doing, really. I mean, they're like way up here, and they're playing is kind of here, but wonderful stuff. And they had a hit. One of my favorite disco songs ever is "Everybody Dance" by Chic. Everybody dance, clap your hands, clap your hands. That had been a hit. So, they're like, hey, let's go to Studio 54. So they go there. And I don't know what you know about Studio 54. They said that it was a dictatorship in the front, but a democracy inside, which meant it was very hard to get into.
Right.
The door guy was an asshole. He would do stuff like, "Oh, we just got married tonight. Okay, he can come in, but she can't." And then he would go in and leave her out there. That's the kind of jerky things they would do. People would show up and get refused entry for one reason or another. They didn't like their look or whatever. They wouldn't get let in.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side of that was you could go to CBGB's and anybody walked in that place on the Bowery. So you had both yin and yang in New York. And there were several things, kind of like that, places like that. But anyway, Chic shows up one night and they're refused entry. So, and they'd been out drinking, having fun. So they're walking down the street, and they're singing, fuck off. And they took that and they turned it into "Freak Out," which is what the song is. It's about getting
turned away at the
turned
door.
Away at 54. The original lyric is, F off. That's,
yeah.
But they turned it to "Freak Out." But if you listen to the words, they even mention, so come on down to 54. They talk about it in the song, which was a hit at 54, 6 months later or whatever.
Funny. Now it's going to have a whole new meaning when we listen
It
to
does. Yeah, it's kind of fun that way. But yeah, that's true story. From Niall himself.
Very, very cool. I'm going to go slow with the next one.
Cool.
From Nazareth, Love Hurts from 1976.
Oh, nice. Yes.
A power ballad, I think, is how we kind of look at that.
Yes, power ballad. I think they're from Rockford, Illinois.
But boy, that at the time in the 80s, boy, that was the 80s and early 90s. It was a money song.
Yes, and I think to this day you could probably get away with it in certain situations. That's a song you could see coming back anytime. It could just turn up in a movie and it's going to come back.
It would be back, yeah, because it really could be a timeless
good
movie.
Song. Yeah. And it's not there's a whole generation out there who doesn't even know it, but it's a good song. And I think they would dig it. Okay, next I got a 2 for on my list here.
Yeah.
The first one, interesting. When I first started DJing, there was a dance to the song and I was unaware of it. So for a minute, this was the Electric Slide.
Yep.
And that's the Groove Line by Heatwave. I don't know if that was happening in your neck of the woods or not.
No, I don't think I've got that on my list.
Do you know the song?
I'm not sure if I do.
Okay, check that one out. You're going to hear it. You're going to go, oh, that song. But it's basically the Electric Slide before the Electric Boogie.
Yep.
It's that we all know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same damn dance. Before that, it was the Groove Line in the discos in the late 70s and even in the 80s. That was the tune you played, and they did the Electric Slide to it. That's the Groove Line by Heatwave. And the other Heatwave song that I like is from 1976, and I do play it occasionally, is Boogie Nights.
Yep.
Great tune. The only other Heatwave song that you need to know is Always and Forever. So, and you got your whole Heatwave trifecta. You don't need any other Heatwave. You're done.
You've got them all.
Yes. Now, the guy who wrote most of that stuff, I don't remember his name, but I know he was a British guy who lived in Germany. And he lived near American Army bases, and he was a drummer, and he would hear all this really cool, funky music that the American soldiers would bring over. And so, he formed a band, and that band got together with a group of singers from Philly, and they formed Heatwave. And he wrote all that stuff. And he also wrote, he produced, I guess I should say, or co-produced the song Off the Wall, Michael Jackson's Off the Wall, which has got kind of the same. If you listen to the song Off the Wall and you listen to anything by Heatwave, it's got very the same vibe. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to do a couple of slow ones because I've got some people have been mentioning some of the, and I'm going to just get done with the slow stuff.
There's tons of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Bread, Everything I Own was one of those songs that with the right audience, a good ballad. The next one, from the Babies, and it's not really quite a slow song, but I've had people requesting it as a slow song every time. Everything.
Oh, it's on my favorites list.
Yeah.
I love the Babies.
Yeah, that was a great one. But the one I'm going to end this little three song set was brought back with Anchorman. I believe it was Anchorman or Anchorman 2.
Yeah, a lot of. Yeah, well, that was 70s Anchorman. Yeah, which one?
Well, the song is from Starland Vocal Band, Afternoon Delight.
Afternoon Delight.
When the guys are singing that, after that came out, I was having people request that, and it's like, I had people at high schools requesting that song. It's like, do you know what they're singing about?
They didn't know what they were singing about in '76 when they put it out, so who cares now?
Yeah, they're not. So, but it was one of those.
That's what I loved about the '70s. The innuendo was amazing, and it went over everybody's head. Like today with hip hop, it's like you got to do your beep, beep, beep constantly because they're swearing. Back then, people had no idea. Oh, this is charming.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was actually not. It was really naughty. So, brand new. What was that one song? I got a brand new pair of roller skates. What do you think that song's about?
Got a brand new.
Oh, that's a nice song about roller skates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
a little campy song. It's beautiful. Okay.
Did you have another slow one, or was that it?
That was my three. I just wanted to.
Oh,
I've got other. That there's just
yeah,
so
that's
many,
cool.
but
I got tons here.
yeah.
The next one I want to talk about is one that like no one ever asks for, but if I find the right opportunity, I play it and it goes really well. And it's kind of in that funky set, that funky 70s set, and you want to go mainstream, you don't know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
I found this one works with the right group, and you're just in the right at the right time. You know, you got to use the right tool for the right job. This is a good tool sometimes.
Yeah.
LTD's Every Time I Turn Around, Back in Love Again. The lead singer of that band is Jeffrey Osborne. If you remember him from the 80s, he did like Baby Stay With Me Tonight and all that. Yeah, Every Time I Turn Around, Back in Love Again. And that is 1977, and the band is LTD. It's a cool weapon to have in your library. If you're ever in that situation, you can throw that one on. But no one ever asks for it, but they know it. So I was writing it down. What is this?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I've not heard of that one.
You know it. You'll hear it and go, oh, that's
yeah. Yeah, well, you've done that to me on a few occasions when you're making your here's my YouTube playlist of songs.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my
right.
God.
I'd sing it for you, but I'd sing terribly, which I proved to you last time I tried to do that with all that.
Let's see. Coming out of, I don't know, I want to go there. Anita Ward getting kind of more of a dance with Ring My Bell is one that this one's kind of bordering between a commonly played and one that, you know, between that A and that B. It's kind of in there. It's probably like maybe the fourth or fifth dancey, popish, disco-ish feel song.
Yeah, it qualifies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ring My Bell, I'm assuming is what you're talking about.
Yeah, Ring My Bell. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one turned up in that movie, The Book of Eli. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
It's interesting. What's his name? Oh man, stroke brain. Big actor. Oh Jesus, I can't think. Anyway, yeah, it turned up in that movie in a scene about cannibals, which is kind of funny. So it's on people's radar.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we're going to skip my Leo Sayer because you already talked about that. Give Up the Funk, Tear the Roof Off the Sucker, Parliament 1975.
Nice.
It's turned up in a lot of films.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's kind of where the familiarity comes from. Like in the 70s, that song, I didn't know it when I was a kid, but I know it now. And I think most people know it because they've heard it in something more recent. So it's a good one to have.
Mm-hmm. Parliament, very good track. Next, I've got from Golden Earring, 1974, with Radar Love.
No, good one.
Just a driving song. I mean, just that energy that the song just kind of contains and kind of right on down the track with you, and you're coming with it or not.
Yeah, it's like a driving song kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Good tune.
Good tune. Let's see, what do we got for time? We've got about, okay, we're good. We're doing well.
We're doing fine. We're having fun.
We're doing well.
Here's a really good one, guys. I got some really good ones on my list, so I don't want you to miss them.
Yeah.
This one's pure gold. Have this song. It's going to come up, and you're going to play it. You're going to be a superhero. Rubber Band Man by the Spinners, 1976. Really good song to have in your arsenal. And that's on my B list because I don't play it all the time. But when it's time to play it, it's time to play it. That was in the movie Stripes. Talking about Bill Murray movies, that was in that movie. I don't know if that connection is made anymore, but people know it and they like it. And it's actually a very good song.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, Denzel Washington was in the Book of Eli.
Denzel. Thank you. And Gary Oldman was in it. And it was a weird movie, but a cool movie. I think you'd enjoy it. Not one for the kids, but it's a good movie. And then let's see. I'll just go through some of these. Sounds like we're probably wrapping up some of these lists here.
Yeah.
Do you have more on?
Oh goodness, I hit 120 songs.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, so I've got lots of things to.
One that I think is really good. It's turned up in commercials in the last 20 some years, and I've grown to love the song. And I really like the long version of the song, but you can do the short version. Is That Lady by the Isley Brothers, 1973.
Yes.
It's a really nice song.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. I had forgotten about that one.
Yeah, it's a very unique song. It's almost got a psychedelic feel to it. It's almost got a 60s throwback feel, but it's funky enough. It's got like fuzz guitar, like it's Hendrix inspired, but it's funky. It's smooth. Beautiful song. Own it. Full shizzle.
In the mid 70s, Ringo Starr, early to mid 70s, Ringo Starr some of his solo work charted actually very, very well. The song that charted and works is "You're Sweet, You're 16, You're Beautiful in Your Mind."
Beautiful in Your Mind, yes.
Yeah, a great segue from your, can be added on to the end of a couple of 70s songs and use that as a segue song going to somewhere. It can be, in the middle of the set if you need to. Might be a little tough at the beginning of a 70s type set, but the people who experience it
for the right crowd, it's a good one.
Yeah, very much so.
I'm going to go Little Willie by Sweet 1971.
Nice. That's one of them I think I've got on my top play ones.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Just because it had that has that appeal that really just goes across generations.
Give all my big hitters. Like, I'm not going to give you any more fillers. All big hitters. Yeah. Good stuff. That's going to be useful for you for the last part of the show here.
There we go. One of them that isn't so much today, but it was, if we'd be doing this 10 years ago, it would have been, Charlie Daniels. I did not realize this was that old. In 1979, it charted with The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah.
I didn't think
up here and there.
I didn't think it was the original was that old, but
that's 78 or 79, isn't it?
Yeah, 79 is when it was at the peak in the charts. Yet people know the song, that people sing along and do their little pretending to fiddle along.
I think it popped on most people's radar when it popped on, I think it was the movie Urban Cowboy.
Quite possible, yeah. Now that you mention it.
And that was right around the time Urban Cowboy came out. Charlie Daniels came out with an album called Full Moon, which had hits on it too. In America was one of them. But I mean, okay, let me just qualify this. I lived in Oklahoma at the time.
You would have known then.
So I know all this dumb crap. But that's why it came back, because of the movie. And then it was just, it probably charted again in the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was released as a single, but I think it was on the album and it got played. So.
Oh yeah, and it became a staple.
But yeah, it's 70s. So.
What do you got next?
What do I got next? I had long cool one here. Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this one really exploded 20 plus years ago when the movie Pulp Fiction came out. It's in the opening credits. Then all of a sudden, everybody had to have it. Yep. Everybody had to hear it. And it's a good ass song. So cool. It's on my list.
That is
number great. 8 on my B list.
The song Ballroom Blitz is one that gets to it. It's kind of fitting in. Is it a top one or is it kind of this middle? For a period of time back when Wayne's World came out, it made a resurgence. Now you would think that the resurgence would have been for the one that was released. It was Tia Carrera.
Whatever the actress's name is, the Filipino actress.
Yeah. You'd think it would have been her version, but I had so many people coming up and say, "Hey, no, we want to hear the original one."
Yeah.
And everybody, of course, knew it because of the so Ballroom Blitz is definitely 1975.
And I like it when that happens. I really like it when a movie has a remake of a song and it actually just jumpstarts the original version.
Exactly.
I like it when that happens. It doesn't happen often, but I like when it does happen.
Especially if the original was solid. Now, if it's we're waiting for that remake of ABC, that's going to be as awesome, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Gonna skip over some stuff here. Well, no, I shouldn't skip this one. Pulp Fiction, once again, this popped back on the radar. People like it. Al Green, Let's Stay Together, 1971.
Nice.
You have that in your arsenal?
I have it on there. It's just it wasn't on my A or B.
Yeah, it's on my top B.
Yeah.
People just expect you to have it. I mean, and that's kind of what this B list is about. There are some songs you say, I don't have that one. But the songs I'm talking about, you probably should just have.
Exactly. These are good things to have in the library because
problem. And they don't suck.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you bad songs here. So
yeah, that's my job. I'm giving you the bad songs. So that brings me up to Chuck Berry.
Songs.
Chuck Berry from 1972 with another sing along, My Ding-a-Ling.
Oh, Jesus.
Again,
I
there's
take
some.
back what I just said. Everything I just said, I take it back.
I told you I was going to come in with some bad songs, and this is it. Thank you for setting me up on that one.
Talk about innuendo.
Chuck Berry, 1972 came out with this, and I didn't have early on, but somewhere in this vicinity or upper Midwest, it was in the probably mid 90s, and I think it was kind of a follow of the Jim Stafford and the Alice song, that people would ask for this and they would sing along, and generally it was two big drunk guys that are like 6 something with 300 pounds and are up there singing "My Dang-a-lang," just as loud as they can. It's one that I want you to be aware of, that it exists, because there's going to be some big redneck at some point in time who's going to request it, and you can't say you didn't know it existed.
You're like the Oracle of the Matrix.
Exactly. So I'm just watching out for you. Okay. What do you got next, Brett?
The large redneck will ask for my ding-a-ling.
And you must play it or die.
You are not the one.
Yes.
Okay, I got Lowrider by War.
Nice.
And I actually, I don't even know why that's on my B list. It's probably an A list song for me. I play it an awful lot. And when I do 70s stuff.
Oh, for sure. That would be one that I've used War or Lowrider as a latter part of the dinner time when I'm trying to kind of pick up the pace just a little bit while maybe they're getting some tables moved around and we're getting ready. But I want to give them something that's high recognition, that has a little bit of a beat, little kind of a moving along, and just fits that so terribly well.
This is a crossover song, kids. You are asking for them.
That's exactly it.
Take you from classic rock to pop. It can do a lot of things. It could even take you from Latin to English with the right crowd. So it's a really nice crossover tune. There's not a lot that goes with it that you're going to play as a DJ. So you're just going to throw it in there like a hand grenade and see what happens. It's a good one.
Let's see. Are you up or am I up? I'm sorry.
You're up, sir.
Okay, good. One of the most popular guitar riffs to start this song out, "Smoke on the Water."
Oh, yes.
It's not something you're going to play very often. This is the song you have in your repertoire as a request for when a guy comes up and says, "Hey, I want to hear this."
Yeah.
I hear some people will pay $170 to hear Leo Sayer. So, I mean, there's money to be made.
There's money to be made on these songs.
You need to have them because this...
Absolutely.
And this isn't a song that you just play at... There's just some songs you can't play at this volume.
Yeah.
It's got to be played pretty
You
much...
gotta bump that one up a little bit. You're right. It needs some bite.
Yeah, you got to come into that with that riff at the beginning. And then when the bass kicks in, you got to have... The subs have got to be moving. If they're not moving, you're doing it wrong. And there's not often I'm going to tell you you're doing it wrong in the DJ.
You're doing it wrong. We got to play it loudly.
You're not gonna...
What's weird about those old recordings, they really used to go crazy with trying to like make cool stereo things bounce back and forth for stone people.
I hate that.
It doesn't translate well for DJs sometimes.
No.
And if I'm playing like 70s stuff, sometimes I'll flip my mixer into mono just because I get a more even sound for a PA system in mono. If I was trip into my living room to my lava lamp and some really nice Maui Wowie, that's another thing. But if I'm, playing to a crowd and a dance floor, maybe I want to, just a tip for you, "Smoke on the Water" is a perfect example. Even "You Shook Me All Night Long" by AC/DC is like this.
Yes.
There are a lot of songs like that. And then like if you have a right channel out, you don't hear any vocals in a song. It's like, what happened to my song? Or you don't hear the guitar anymore. It's goofy the way they used to try to do stereo. It's kind of backwards, but the early days of recording.
The very first time that we ran that. Very first time of running AC, "You Shook Me All Night Long" in stereo. It's like, because I ran it in stereo and it's like, what, did I lose a speaker?
Right. It's just not as full.
Yeah, it really sounds. Okay, what do you got next?
That one in mono.
Yeah.
Same with "Smoke on the Water." Next one I have up is one that a lot of people don't have, but I would recommend you get it because we talked about parrot heads earlier. Right? You also have deadheads. People followed the Grateful Dead for years. People in my generation followed the Dead for a while. People in the baby boomer generation definitely followed the Dead. And some people just, they want to hear. And there's like young people who were into it.
Yeah.
The same people were into like Fish and things like that. They'd be Dead. So what the hell do you play if somebody asks for a Grateful Dead song? Most people play Truckin'.
Yep.
But there's another one you can do that works very well. It's a lot more danceable, and that's Shakedown Street, 1978. And that's actually kind of a Funky Dead song. It's like the Grateful Dead do disco almost. It's more funky than disco. But have it on your list. If somebody just really wants to hear the Dead and you want to do something besides trucking, this is a cool one. And it will not kill your dance floor completely.
I need to check that out.
Yeah. Just a recommendation for you. And just a tool to have in the toolbox. I don't use it every day, but when I need it, it's super handy to have.
The next couple I'm going to do, I'm going to get to that side of the page. I've got, we talked about one of the songs that is kind of the surprise song. The other one that I use an awful lot is from 1970 with Three Dog Night.
Joy to the World?
Joy to the World.
Nice.
Again, one of those songs that
was 70?
Right. It charted high in 70. So it was released actually.
I think it was 71.
It charted, I thought I saw that it was released like at the end of 60.
That song was number one when I was born, and I was born in
It could have been number one at the into 71. But a great song again that for people to sing along, and it's got enough of a beat where people can sing and dance and move, and again it has a wide appeal. So Joy to the World from Three Dog Night.
No, it's a very good one. I like the Three Dog Night. One of my favorite 70s tunes is Shambhala from 74-ish.
Yep.
Really like that one.
Three Dog Night's another one. That's another one that was hot in our household, so I can't differentiate what was hits and what wasn't.
That was all California sound stuff to me. I lived in Indiana for the early part of the 70s, from the time I was born until 76, and then moved to California for the second half. So I divide my music kind of like that.
Sure.
And there's some songs, but it's cool when you kind of get older and you look at it. There's some songs that were a little bit before I moved to California that still sound California.
Mm-hmm.
There's a California sound that was happening. It started out as kind of like a country bluegrass rock inspired thing.
Yeah.
But it evolved. And, the Three Dog Night were part of that as they were ending their big chart success.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing that with songs like I'm a lot. But another band that definitely did it was the Eagles, next on my list. And the tune I have, and I like to play, if someone says play an Eagles song, a lot of people go Take It Easy, and you can do that. That's very country though.
Yep.
If you're like in a crowd where they dig the country stuff, that's a good way to go. If you're in a crowd where they're more top 40, I go a different direction. I go One of These Nights, 1975.
Sure.
It's a really good one to have in your collection. In fact, just buy the Eagles' greatest hits.
Yep, it's a staple. You have to have it.
Got a picture, I think, an eagle skull on it with like some turquoise or something.
Bluish, yeah.
Yeah, blue thing.
Blue album, yep.
Just buy that. It's got Desperado on it, which is another song that you can play for a nice slow one. Oh, Take It to the Limit, another great Eagles slow song that you can play. That's classic rock and it's Eagles, and it works.
Very much so.
Desperado. Did I mention Desperado?
You did. But Take It to the Limit's a great one of those are one of those late in the evening songs where you still have some of the older guests and you play that one, and this is where that now 50-some-year-old guy is out there and he knows every word to it and he can sing along and he can impress his lady. That's one of those money songs.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. There's a few from Foreigner. But the one that I have used the most is Feels Like the First Time.
Nice.
And again, this is probably reflecting more back to when I was in the bar situation.
Bar stuff, yeah.
Yeah, yep, exactly. You do a couple of Foreigner, probably 3 or 4 Foreigner during the course of the 5-night week. But Feels Like the First Time was generally one of the ones I would do, because it was kind of in my case, it was an early evening song that I would do, because I was looking for that high recognition. I was looking for something that was fairly upbeat, and it appealed to a wider age range.
I'm a Lou Gramm idiot. I love that guy. His voice is amazing.
Yeah, they're very.
And the hell was I watching recently? Something. It was a TV show or a movie or something. And they were doing Feels Like the First Time. And it was Foreigner, or as they're called today, Foreigner. That was not Lou Gramm. I don't know who was doing the vocals, but it just didn't hit the spot.
Didn't do it.
No. And they recently did a remaster of that too. I mean, within the last 3 years, they did a remaster of that.
No, I haven't seen.
Actually was released as a single again, believe it or not. A remastered single. It turned up on one of my record pools.
Cool.
Which is odd. It's like, why is that here? Let's see. Tyga, LMFAO, 2 Chainz, Foreigner. The hell? But it was there. So.
Seen it a few times. Like, wow, that's just not right.
Miley Cyrus, Foreigner. Okay. My turn.
Yeah.
I've got a couple songs that I play at the end of the night. Just when I want to wrap things up. Because I want to end my night on a bang when I can. So for that reason, I don't like doing Piano Man unless they put a gun to my head.
Yep.
I like to do I used to do It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just because no one asked for it in the night. I could play it, they all knew it, and they'd have fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I do Daft Punk's One More Time. And there's a trick that Jay Brennan taught me on that one that I love doing. If you have the 12-inch version of that song, there's a break in the middle of that song where it just goes into this like these synthesizer chords they're playing. Like,
yeah.
Feeling celebration. I come in there so I can come out of a slow one and then come into that, like the slow part of the B section. Then it builds it one more time, and you get a dance song for the last, whatever it is, minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yep.
The other one I do, and it depends on my crowd and what I want to do, is this one right here, which is my number one on my B list, which is Last Dance by Donna Summer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one I didn't.
It starts out slow, and then they're like, oh, it's a slow song.
Yep.
Or he's playing the slow version of it because they don't remember. And then it just kicks in, so let's dance. And I love me some Donna Summer. I love that. That woman had the voice of an angel. I mean, people talk about Mariah Carey. Oh, she can hit the high C. It's like, so what? I mean, Donna Summer did that kind of stuff every day, and no one ever talked about it. It wasn't a parlor trick. It's just she was singing a song.
Mariah Carey's a parlor trick. That's good.
She is. I mean, it's like, oh, listen, she's hitting the note and she's going to screech this note, and we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna talk everybody how great it is. Man, Donna Summer did that kind of stuff all the time, and nobody has so much control and power and conviction. And she wanted to be a rock and roll singer. A lot of people didn't know that, but she was not interested in doing top 40. But she started out doing disco, then she kind of went more top 40. Mm-hmm. She wanted to do rock and roll. That's what she really wanted to do.
Interesting.
But the disco thing was hot, so she did like "Love to Love You, Baby" and "I Feel Love" and all that. Mm-hmm. But that power, that's like Pat Benatar power. That's like opera singer power. And that's Pat Benatar was classically trained as an opera singer. That's why she sounds like she does. Donna Summer, same thing. Just as good, if not better, than somebody like Pat Benatar. So. Beautiful song.
As we get to the end here, I'm going to give you one more money song here, ladies and gentlemen, from Joe Cocker. "You Are So Beautiful." When it comes to slow songs, let's see, what 74 is when that one charted. When it comes to a slow song that you want to grab those people and pull them out on the dance floor and have them experience something that's very familiar and very, to a point, unexpected, it fits incredibly well. "You Are So Beautiful" from Joe Cocker.
Joe Cocker. Another good Joe Cocker song. It's not a 70s song, but another good one that people do like. Actually, I think it's pretty confident Joe Cocker, but it's not. This is very embarrassing. "You Can Leave Your Hat On."
There we go. Yep.
Yeah, it's a little later, but 10 years later, but it's a song that people do ask.
Very, very.
So I guess that means I get one more shot at this.
You get one more, because we did kind of mention YMCA as one
we did mention, and that was like number 4 on my list.
Yeah, that was my top one.
And we talked about Gloria Gaynor Will Survive. That was 2. We talked about Stayin' Alive. That was number 1. We didn't talk about my number 3 song.
Oh, wow.
We did not mention my number 3 song.
Interesting.
This song has always been on my radar, but it really came onto my radar probably about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've always played it. I've known it since it came out. I think it came out in 76 or 77. And by the way, on the Mobile Beat Top 200, this is the most popular 70s song. And it's like number 34. And that is "Sweet Home Alabama" by Lynyrd Skynyrd.
I didn't have that on here.
I know. What the heck?
What was I doing? What was I smoking?
What was I thinking?
What was
I love it when I do that. I love it when I just sneak up and It's like it's like we're playing chess. You know, I got a pawn.
Yeah.
Sweet Home Alabama. I mean, I've got everyone dancing to that tune.
Yeah.
I've got the Gen X people who were 10, 15, 20 years older than me enjoy it. My mother enjoys it. There are kids that enjoy it. There was a movie with Reese Witherspoon, probably 10 years ago, called Sweet Home Alabama. It was played in it.
Yeah.
It was in Forrest Gump. It's in pop culture. It's not just, associated with the 70s. It's not just associated with rock or Southern rock. It's kind of gone beyond that. And that's what's really cool about the song. It's initially was just kind of a Southern rock anthem, but it's gone way beyond that and become a beloved song by many people.
Yeah, for sure.
All walks of life.
Yeah. Except the people who'd go to gigs that I perform where I just completely ignore and deny them the privilege.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I play it. I love playing that tune.
Yeah.
Great transition song.
Oh, it is.
Between rock and country or country and pop or classic and whatever. Wonderful transition song. And it's got that wide appeal where again, it's not just like one group of people is going to dig it. A lot of people are going to dig it. And those are the tunes you want to focus on when I feel like you're picking songs for your mobile crowd.
Yeah, for sure. We have got a lot of songs that we didn't touch on. We mentioned this going in, is that there's going to be a lot of stuff. My list, I think I probably still have about 20, 25 songs that we haven't touched, which is actually, I'm surprised we hit as many as we did.
This is like the end of the Grammy speeches where they're playing the music. And you're like, and I also want to thank my producer, Quincy Jones, and I want to thank my mom and dad. Oh my God, I love you so much. The commercial comes on.
And then they're still talking. And
and I want to talk about climax blues bands couldn't get it right. And I want to talk, I want to talk about Patrick Jovet's I Love America. And I want to talk about but for the grace of God, there go I by Machine. But I'm not going to do that. We're just going to leave it alone.
We're going to let them go. We're going to put everything in the description down below. We'll copy and paste and put everything there so you guys can see the full list. And a lot of great stuff, man.
There's so many things that I didn't talk about that. Again, here I am doing the Grammy thing.
Yeah.
Like Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty and Low Down by Boz Scaggs and Band on the Run by Paul McCartney. And Free Ride by the Winter Group.
No, yeah.
Oh, dude, I got somebody that are just rock the boat. Huge Corporation. There's tons of tunes on here that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Led Zeppelin. We didn't talk about Steve Miller.
We didn't talk about Shadow Dancing by Barry Gibb.
Yeah, we barely talked. Yeah, we didn't talk much anything.
We didn't talk about England Dan and John Morgoli. We didn't talk about any of this stuff, man. Come on, what's going on? We need more time. No, and I don't know, John. If these do well and you want to keep doing it, we can keep doing it. We can go back and do some other stuff sometime and talk about B.
I think we may have to. What we may have to do, and we'll see what you guys are thinking out there. So please share your thoughts with us wherever you see these. Is if we need to go back and do some things, but actually maybe doing it in a different format instead of on YouTube where we can actually play some of the songs, if that would be more appealing, or if you want us to dig into a specific area and say, hey, just things that'll work on my dance floor that are whatever. Let us know what you guys are picking up from these, what you like, what you would like to see us do, because I enjoy this. This is a really cool exercise because, as you can see from my 4 pages of scribbled notes in the margins here, I definitely am learning right along with everyone else.
Well, I'm flattered that you're digging some of the stuff I'm throwing out there.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we're able to compliment each other on these lists. There's a lot of stuff you talk about, like, what? Really? Well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. It's all about sharing and learning. And again, it's always just been really odd to me that, I go around the world to these DJ conventions. When I say around the world, I don't really mean that. I mean, just maybe hopping back and forth across the Atlantic. But the one thing no one talks about is music. They want to talk about CDJs and mixers and lighting and how much they're making and all of these things. I got into this because I love music. I mean, that's why.
Oh, yeah.
If I didn't enjoy music, there would be no reason to do this. Exactly. So that's why I'm into it. I really love this stuff. And I want to help you guys out. I want to spoon feed you some tracks if you weren't there or you don't know. But I also want to talk about some things that turn me on, and that's kind of what I feel like we've done in this particular volume or installment of our must-haves. So it's not just songs to play, kind of spoon feed, but it's also, hey, if you want to get a better feel for something, check this out, or I dig this, and this is something that, I don't know, I recommend. So I'm enjoying this. I'm having a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for even tuning in and watching this.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff you just want to do for free. You don't want to just do it because you love
just
it.
do it. It's an enjoyable conversation. Yeah. Next week, we will be back again because we've got next week. And then after that, we've got a week off for Mobile Beat. Next week, We're going to figure a way to attack the 80s.
The 80s is going to be easier than the 70s.
I think they might be, because I don't think we're going to have the diversity.
There's plenty of stuff going on in the 80s. But
yeah.
The 70s is so heavy. I mean, there's so much we missed. I mean, I don't think either one of us mentioned anything, not that we really particularly, well, we could have. Pink Floyd, we didn't talk about that. Yep. I mean, and that was huge. By the way, the song you want to have is Money by Pink Floyd, Abba Dark Side. I didn't have that song. Mm-hmm. It's not as hard. It's different, but it's not as hard. The only thing is that it splits weird. I talked about how the 60s ended and the 70s ended. Now, the 80s didn't end like that. The 80s ended in 1992.
Yep, exactly.
The 80s lasted for 12 years. So it's a little different of a decade to break down, but we'll do it. We'll
have some fun with that. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching tonight. If you have any questions or comments, if you're watching the replay, make sure you're putting those down below, because those of you who are doing all the comments and such right now, those are going to go away, unfortunately, and we don't get to see those. Well, you guys won't get to see them. We can go dig them up. But if you've got anything, please go down and put those down below for thoughts and comments and questions, because we may not see them if they stay in the side. So, Brian, thank you much, and we will see you next week, my friend.
Thank you, John.
All right. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Good night.